A little crazy
All right.
people.
Yes.
All right.
Like
So,
Hello,
crazy
friend.
people.
as we were talking about, right?
As we're talking about, all right. So, what is the purpose of why did I? So this is the this is the whole thing. Like, I pulled you all inside of an elevator, right? And I go, I wonder. So you're probably all wondering why I gathered you here today.
I mean, no, I know why you gathered us here today. So, yeah.
The whole. So okay. So we are starting with Star Dragons here to do a small podcast kind of thingy where we discuss the different classes in Dungeons and Dragons 2.5, how they work, and we will showcase how these classes can work and work better and how to build them through the builds that you can find on our website at stellardragonsgames.com. So I'm the guy behind the wild and sometimes ridiculous builds. I'm Ghost. Hi, friends.
And you can actually see his face on
Um,
the Discord if you really want to, but that's an option there.
it, yeah, come join the Discord. It's a great thing. The link is on the website too, so
And yep,
it's super easy.
the website, the post here, all that stuff. So it's all available.
Yeah. So yeah, that so as I was saying, Rainy, before we were starting the
Mm-hmm.
the the recording, essentially what we're going to do each time that we're going to do one of these podcasts is we're going to pick one of the classes in 3.5, and we're going to essentially go over its different abilities, what we like about the class, what we don't like about the class, and how do we think we can build one of like that class with different feats, different features, different prestige class that we can get into, how to complement them, how well they multi-class, how well they don't multi-class, um, how well they work like like mono leveling, right? Just straight class level 1 to 20. And also we're going to like, of course, we're going to showcase the 5 different builds that I do for every single class, so that we can like have an actual example to give about why this class works well or doesn't work as well as we think. All that. Now, personally, I do think that like you can enjoy every single class in Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. Like even if some classes are quote unquote much worse than other classes, I think it's a very subjective thing. Like it depends on your group, it depends on your table, depends on a number of factors. Like putting them all in a white out plane that is infinite in all senses and making them fight is not how actually you compare those classes. I think you have to compare them in the concept of like how do they behave behind a good pilot, behind someone who is actually going to take care to learn how the class works and how well they are going to interact with the world that the DM presents to them. So again, like you can have some general ideas, but it again, like if you do it, like if you do like the whole like in a vacuum, how does this class work? But I don't think that's enough. I think you have to actually put it through the wire to see how it actually handles games, which is why I make
Yep.
all those 5 builds. So yeah, so as we said, we are going to be starting with the Ranger because apparently Wizard of the Coast hates Rangers um, for some reason, which is a very, very sad state of affair because Rangers are really cool.
I
All right,
remember
Chris.
Pathfinder Rangers. They're fun.
Yeah, so here's the thing with Ranger. Let's go over real quick the basic component of the class. So it's a base class, meaning that it has level 1 to 20. It can be any alignment, because in 3.5, some classes have alignment restrictions. The Ranger doesn't have any. Can be any alignment whatsoever. So the Ranger has D8 hit die. So for a combat class, that's not a lot. Like, let's be honest, you probably would like in Pathfinder, they upgraded it to D10. Like if you had a high BAB, it meant that you had a D10. Essentially, your hit die was keyed on your base attack bonus, which
Hmm.
is the basic bonus that you get to attack rolls um, depending on your level, if you don't multi-class. So classes that
Yeah.
have a high BAB have +1 per level. The medium BAB end up with at level 20, they end up with a +15 BAB, and low BAB have one half their level in bonus. So 0 at level 1, then 1, then 1 again, then 2. So you're all the way up to +10.
Cool.
Usually, Ranger have a high BAB, but they still have D8 hit points. So they're not quite squishy.
Okay,
but
so they're designed, just based on that information, they're designed to be more of a skirmisher than anything else. Like a
that would be
skirmisher
correct.
or a long-range fighter.
I mean, yes, they're also, well, that's the thing. Like, they cannot sustain front line for a long time, but they can absolutely be in front line. Like, they can be
Oh,
a
yeah.
very good frontliner. But by themselves, they need something else. Like, they cannot sustainably be a tank, for example.
Okay.
So essentially, those D8 means that where they are going to be excelling at, with D8 hit points and high BB, they're going to be making for a fantastic switch hitter, meaning that they can do well at range combat and do well at melee combat, and essentially lets them do both.
Mhm.
Because they have the hit points to be able to get into melee and get things done if it becomes necessary. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they can do it sustainably.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay, so they're better at short, like taking on more of like the minions and that sort of thing, and then getting out of the way so that the tanks can take on the bigger, badder threats that will actually like take up more time.
That's one way to say it. Honestly, I like because they can absolutely get into melee with the big bad thing and start ramming it with a great sword, for example. If they have the right feed, the right favorite enemy, all those things, they can absolutely just maul an opponent in a single round if they so choose.
Okay, cool.
However, what they cannot do is get into melee with the big bad thing and think, oh yeah, like I can do this fight, and then get on the next fight and the next fight and keep doing with that strategy. No, they will have to vary out. They will have to switch out or adapt their fighting to the condition. But that's where the ranger excels. I think. I think the ranger excels at being able to adapt to the fight. Like if an enemy is going to be weak against melee combat, they can absolutely jump in melee combat and absolutely excel at it. But if the enemy is too resilient to stay in melee with them, they can stay at range, pull their bow, and just pepper them with arrows. And we're completely fine with this. So
Okay, cool.
that's the quote unquote basic framework. They have more things though that add up to the portrait. That's very, very basic.
Mhm.
They are proficient with every single simple and martial weapons. So like 80% of all the weapons in Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. And they are proficient with light armor and shield. So they can in fact use shields. So that can like you could make a two-weapon fighter ranger who uses a shield and a longsword and start like hacking someone with their shield and their sword, right? And it could work very well. Like if you take the feat improve shield bash, it means that you can use your shield to attack and keep the AC bonus from it, meaning that they can get a somewhat decent armor class.
Okay.
It's not going to be like they're not going to be going around with a full plate armor, right?
Yeah.
They still have only light armor, but their dexterity is probably going to be higher, meaning that they're going to have a decent AC regardless, and still be able to have that shield, which adds more defensive. So again, they can be somewhat defensive. Like again, they don't suck in melee. They can off tank, but they're not
Okay.
going to be a main tank.
Okay, sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. So for their saving throws, they have in 3.5. For those who don't know a lot about 3.5, there's only 3 saving throws. There's the Fortitude saving throw, the Reflex saving throw, and the Will saving throw. 42 civic throw is usually like against things like diseases, things that are going to affect your corporal, like literally your corporal thing. Reflex save is more against like traps, against like fire blast, fireballs, breath weapons, things like this. And will is going to be resisting against mind affecting effects, or that kind of thingy, right? So ranger have um, they have high saves in both reflex and fortitude, so they can actually take a hit against like disease, poisons, things like that. Like they can actually resist it fairly well, and they can dodge fireballs pretty well. Um, they eventually they even get evasion. Now they don't get it as fast as the monk or the rogue, right? They still eventually do get evasion, which is pretty neat, if you ask me. They don't have a high will saving throw though, so that's usually that would be their weakness. However, they need wisdom, so it's kind of like it kind of helps a little bit. So oh yeah, so there's skill points. So ranger have the second highest number of skill points that a class can get, which is 6 plus their intelligence modifier, um, which is a lot of skill points.
What's the highest then? 8.
Yeah, 8.
Okay.
For the rogue, there's the rogue. There's the spell thief who gets 8, and I think that's it. I may be wrong. There might be other like maybe 1 or 2 other classes who get 8, but you like TLDR, the rogue gets 8.
Okay.
The ranger gets 6, which is really good. Like, and on their skill list, they have climb, concentration, craft, handle animal, heal, hide, jump. Um, 3 different types of knowledge: knowledge engineering, knowledge geography, knowledge nature, listen, move silently, profession, ride, search, spot, survival, swim, and use rope. So what does this tell us? Because I don't want to be the only guys talking here.
You're good. You're good. Keep
I know I
going.
talk a lot. Like
You prepared
we are in the
prepared
meat of
this.
what I know, right?
You
But
prepared this, so you can go ahead.
no, I don't. I didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You literally have this prepared. You've had this prepared for a very long time, but you've had this prepared, so you're good to you keep going, man. It's all very insightful. And
So
obviously distracting enough that it got me killed while I was fighting this thing.
sorry.
No, nothing. No, why are you apologizing? Just matter of factly, it's very insightful. So it's like, all right, yeah, I'm listening. Primarily, I'm listening to you rather than I'm, getting myself killed in this game.
That's fair. So what do those skills tell us?
Well, they tell us that a lot of their ability comes from how versatile they would be in multiple different situations. So when I hear the word ranger, I immediately think of things like wildlife rangers or that sort of thing. So I think of survivalists, I think of people that take care of animals. I kind of think like semi on the level of a rogue, but not quite. Like the whole like dealing with traps and dealing with like locks and whatever they need to deal with in order to get into places where they might need like to deal with certain things like animals or like dangers to nature, that sort of thing. So I very much feel like they would be good at things like survival, things like athletics, or like all of that sort of naturey aspect of the world.
Yep. Yeah, this is a fair observation. So, like again, as you said, they're good with nature in general. So like we can see this in handle animal, we can see this in heal. In fact, like they can patch wounds, they can help with curing diseases, taking care of poisons, things like that. They have good knowledge in engineering, geography, and nature. They are really good with ride. Again, like handle animal plus ride, as them ride pretty much everything. They have survival, which is great for orienting themselves, feeding the party, things like that. They also have a lot of like exploration-based skills, like climb, jump, and swim, but also search, spot, um, listen, hide, and move silently, which lets them be excellent scouts. They also have access to use rope, which lets them tie down a knocked out enemy or a pinned enemy, which is great, honestly. Um, and also, the fact that they have concentration hints at the fact that they are a spellcaster. Regardless of how little they do, they do remain a spellcaster.
Okay.
So they can. So that's the thing. Let's go through the levels real quick. What the ranger actually does, and then we'll start going off out of that. So at first level, they get their first favorite enemy. So favorite enemy doesn't work like in 5th edition, right? Which it gives you essentially their languages, and
Yeah. It gives you
that's about it.
languages, some bonuses to hit them. I think it's either to hit them or to damage against them. It gives you the ability to, I think it's like advantage on intelligence checks to remember things about them or to track them, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure much else.
Well, that's the thing. In the original 5e, they didn't even get the damage bonus. They only got
Oh.
advantage knowing about them. Damage would only get off at level 20.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That's,
that was not good.
that's
In
a real downgrade.
Yeah, in 3.5, when you pick your first favorite enemy, and you have to be fairly specific. Like if you pick, for example, magical beasts or giants, that's fine. That's good enough. Or if you pick dragons, that's good enough. If you pick, say, humanoid or outsider, you have to precise a subtype. So you
Okay, so
cannot
like
just say,
goblin.
yeah, so goblinoid, human, elves,
Okay.
or devils, angels, azatas, those kinds of things.
Okay.
So what it actually does, like in terms of like mathematic purposes, it gives you a +2 on attack rolls, damage, and everything about knowledge check against those creatures, and on tracking them, on hiding from them, on perceiving them, like essentially on skills against those guys.
Okay.
So a +2 is a +2. That's pretty good. Starting at
Yeah.
level 1, a +2 is going to be making a lot of difference. Not that much at higher levels, but it's still pretty good early on. And each time that you get a next favorite enemy, you can either choose to increase, like whenever you get a second favorite enemy, that second favorite enemy gets a +2, and
Mhm.
then you get another +2 that you can choose which of the favorite enemy that you're picking is going to be increasing. So by the end, at level
Oh,
20, yeah, at level 20 you have 5 favorite enemies. So you could have all of them at +2 and one of them at +10.
so you can so in 3.5 you can
Yeah.
stack modifiers.
To a degree. To a
Okay.
degree. It's a bit more complicated than that. Like some bonuses stack, some bonuses don't.
Okay, I'm assuming that each individual ability would specify whether it stacks then, in that case.
Long story short, let's see.
Okay.
Even then, it's essentially 2 bonuses of the same type
Mm-hmm.
don't stack. So if you get,
Okay.
for example, 2 profane bonus, though you pick the highest and you don't pick, then that's it.
Okay.
However, favorite enemy is an untyped bonus, and untyped bonus stacks with everything.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ability is going to precise like if it stacks over itself. So I'm going to give you a concrete example here.
Mm-hmm.
Critical hits. So let's say that you have a keen weapon. A keen weapon is going to double your crit range. So, for example, that you're using a club, which is a crit of 20, you only have a critical chance on a 20, and it deals time 2 damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a keen, for some reason, club, that club is going to be 19 to 20.
But Keen explicitly says. Here,
Yeah, I'm using the example. I'm using a very, very simple example here.
That's
It's just,
That's fair. I'm just saying. Had to be
yeah.
said.
Now, if you pick the feat Improve Critical for the club, your club is also going to double its crit range, so 19 to 20. But those two abilities explicitly do not stack with each other.
Okay, so
So-
I'm assuming that's because they are considered the exact same bonus.
TLDR, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just that the feat applies to every single weapon of that specific type, versus the Keen is an enchantment on that weapon.
Okay.
So, essentially, like, if you want, essentially it lets you buy off a feat with a magic enchantment.
That's really cool.
There are arguments on both sides of this. It depends on your build, depends on your thing, it depends on your crit fishing. But TLDR, yes, essentially.
Okay, cool.
So usually they're going to be precising if they like, if it's not specified, if there are different types of bonuses, they are going to stack, unless specified otherwise. If they are the same type of bonus, they are not stacking, unless precise otherwise.
Okay, cool.
So, like another example that I can give you, you pick a race that has a natural bonus armor of +2, and then you go into Dragon Disciple, the prestige class Dragon Disciple. Dragon Disciple adds a bonus to your natural armor. So even though you already have a basic natural armor, you don't choose which one of the two you increase. This one specifically says you increase your natural armor bonus by this amount. So it stacks on top of what you already have. So if you have 0, you have 0. So now you have, let's say, +1. But if you already had +2, then it becomes a +3.
Okay.
So it's very important to see the verbiage of the ability. Like, it's going to clue you whether it stacks or not.
Okay. Cool. That is my wheelhouse then. So that'll. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So that's how this works. Like, favorite enemy lets you essentially, like, each time that you get a new favorite enemy, you choose one of your favorite enemy, and you increase it by +2, but all of them are at least a +2.
Okay.
So you can, as I said, like at level 20, you have 5 favorite enemy. 5 types of favorite enemy, and that means that you can have 4 of them that have +2 and 1 of them that has +10. Or you can distribute it like +8, +8, +4, +2, +2, +2, or etc. Right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Any combination thereof.
Yes.
Okay.
At level 1,
Cool.
you also gain the feat Track, which lets you, track.
Track.
Yeah. So
No
essentially,
way, no.
nah.
It actually helps you
Wait.
lay down tracks.
Yeah.
Did you just make a monorail?
Essentially. So it lets you track an enemy, again. That's pretty good. That's good for interaction with the environment. It's good for, again, it depends on context. It's not going to be useful in every single situation, right? But when you want it, you have it. And it's free.
okay.
Like, why are you complaining? It's free.
I do like that aspect of 3.5 in that you do get beats for free depending on your class or depending on like whatever other abilities you have.
Yep.
Like that is one of the cool things that I do like about 3.5 is that they don't give you not everything you get is determined based specifically on that class.
Mm-hmm.
Like not everything is unique to a class. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. At first level, they also get the ability Wild Empathy. So essentially, it lets them understand and essentially this quote unquote, it's like using the skill Diplomacy but with animals.
Okay, so it's. I'm assuming it's less you can talk with them specifically, more you can discern the understanding of what they're trying to say or convey without actually speaking their language, quote unquote.
Essentially what it lets you do, it lets you affect how they are going to behave with you
Okay.
by mimicking postures and understanding how the like okay, so this animal currently like, oh, I understand that it's probably protecting its cub, so I'm going to show that I'm not an enemy, and then it's going to be leaving me alone. So it's going to be
Okay.
like instead of being hostile against me, it's going to become indifferent. In if we're going very 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 by the actual game terms, which I
Hmm.
more or less like, but that's not the point. Like if essentially that's that, you can even make an animal become a friend. So you can have a friend animal that follows you around with wild empathy. Now here's the thing with wild empathy that many people overlook and many game masters overlook. Wild empathy lets you do that too with magical beasts, not just animals. You do get a penalty. You get a -4 penalty on the check, but
Hmm.
you can in fact influence, let's say, a behir or a displacer beast
That's
and
cool.
have it become your friend.
Because magical beasts are still beasts.
Mm.
Yeah, that's. I didn't know that either. Well, granted, I really don't know much at all, but
Uh,
that's really cool.
I
It
will
is
say,
really cool.
that's because 5e, which you're most experienced with, got rid of magical beast as a category.
Yes, they just make that into monstrosities,
Yeah.
which is just like an overarching thing instead of like a more specified thing. Like
Mhm.
owlbears are monstrosities now, and not. Are owlbears animals or are they magical beasts in 3.5?
They are magical beasts.
They
Okay.
were created by
By
something.
wizards.
We aren't sure by what. Might have. One of the biggest theories is created by a wizard.
Because of course.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what the ranger gets at level 1.
That's really
At
cool.
level 2, the ranger gets this first combat feat, its combat style. So at this point, you choose whether you're going to increase your archery or your two-weapon fightings. Now, in other versions, in other editions, you can get a wider variety. Like in Pathfinder, you can get sword and board and Sekiro, right? But in 3.5, you have to choose between two-weapon fighting and archery.
Okay,
Now,
so
here's
it would be the equivalent, maybe, of fighting style in 5th edition, kind of.
kind
Because
of,
yeah,
except better,
like
except much
yeah,
better.
okay, yeah.
Because essentially,
I'm
what
just trying to like connect dots here.
that's fair. So
Mhm.
essentially, what it lets you do, each time that you get your combat style, so you get it at level 2, at level
Mhm.
6, and then at level 11, I believe.
Okay, that's cool. So it's
Yes.
not just like a one-time thing.
No, because essentially each time that you get it, you gain a free feat. And it's not just that you gain the free feat. You don't have to fulfill the prerequisites for that feat.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really awesome. Now, here's the thing. At level 2, and again, like once you make your choice is bound. So if you pick two-weapon fighting at level 2, you have to pick two-weapon fighting at level 6 at level 11.
Okay.
But if you're going to do it, don't worry about it. Like honestly, it's you get more feats anyway, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, plus you can also take if you need the other version of it, you can take it later on with actual feats if you
Yeah,
want to.
yeah. So the
Okay,
ranger at level 2,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it is really awesome. So at level 2, the ranger can choose between two-weapon fighting, which gives you two-weapon fighting, which I mean, pretty self-explanatory here, right? The other one
Hmm.
lets you choose rapid shot, which lets you take a -2 to your attack, but you get an additional attack. So starting from level 2, you
Oh,
can attack twice each round, every single
That's
round.
that's really cool.
That's really cool. And again, two-weapon fighting lets you do the same thing. It lets you attack with both weapon, right?
Yeah.
But it's like essentially you choose whether you do melee or you do range,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and you get more attacks. Level 6, the improved combat style, you get many shot or improved two-weapon fighting, which gives you another attack with your
Okay.
secondary weapon. So here's the thing with that secondary attack, right? With improved weapon fighting, you get it at level 6. At level 6, you have +6 BAB as a ranger. This means that your primary attack, you already have 2 attacks. Plus the two-weapon fighting, you're at 3. Plus improved two-weapon fighting, you're now attacking 4 times in melee at level 6.
So
Every single round.
So let me get this straight. In 3.5, a ranger at level 6 is as powerful as a fighter at level 11 in 5th edition.
Yes.
That's one way to put it.
It is one way to put it.
Amazing.
It is, yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you move, you only get 1 attack because it's a standard action. And to be able to make multiple attacks, it has to be a full attack action. So you can't, yeah. So you cannot
Okay.
move unless you pick certain feats, unless you... Again, there are ways around that. But in theory, you have not to move. So you're
Okay,
choosing... You're
That's
choosing...
interesting.
Yeah. Now, the many shot in 3.5, how this feat works for the ranger, right? So as a standard action, so that means that because the rapid shot, and that's the thing, you cannot use both rapid shot and many shot because rapid shot is a full attack action, and because like it specifically says you must use the full attack action to use this feat. In many shot, it's a standard action. You cannot have, unless you use a belt or something, you cannot combine both in the same round.
Okay.
But many shot lets you, as a standard action, fire 2 arrows at a single opponent. So you can move and still attack twice.
Okay, interesting.
And for 5 additional point of BAB above 6, you can add another arrow. So eventually, as a standard action, you can attack up to 4 times at level 20.
Okay, that's really cool. Like
It is.
the way I look at like abilities in D&D in general is you have like multiple different abilities that use the same actions. I tend to see the abilities almost like an MMO. So, for example, the many which one's the one that takes a full action, the full round action or whatever it is?
So it's all essentially full attacks, like attacking multiple times. And in the case of the feat, rapid shot requires you to take a full attack action, but it adds an additional attack on that, on top of those that you would already have.
Okay. So yeah, like I see those as like, because those two use kind of the same thing, is it gives you more ability options, but then puts them all on a global cooldown until your next turn kind of deal. That's how I kind of see it. I use like MMO.
That's a fair way, I guess, to like simplify the terms.
Yeah.
So again, like for the two weapon fighting, it lets you essentially like you're forced to stay in place, but you get more attacks. Whereas the ranger, like if you go to range, you can either don't move and make more attack, or be able to move and still be able to do multiple attacks,
Okay,
albeit a little bit less.
that's really cool because it gives you more variety
It does.
in not only your build itself, but like your specific build, whatever you decide to go, but
Indeed.
also as a general class, you're gonna have more options just on the principle of I am a ranger. Like, but that doesn't mean that I'm specifically reliant on the bow or whatever. It gives you a lot of freedom, I think, is the way I would put it, on how you want to actually go and do combat each round. That's really nice.
Yeah. So here's the thing. At level 11, you get your final feat in your line, right? So that was many shot versus improved two-weapon fighting. At level 11, if you choose the two-weapon fighting, you get greater two-weapon fighting. So now with your offhand weapon, you get 3 attacks. And at level 11, you have 3 attacks with your main weapon. So at level 11, if you pick the two-weapon fighting, if you stay in the same place in this round, you can attack up to 6 times. If you pick yes, that's a lot. If you pick the range, you get for free improved precise shot. Improved precise shot lets your range attack ignore the AC bonus granted to targets by anything less than total cover, and you can completely ignore mischance granted to target by anything less than total concealment. Now, total concealment and total cover, like again, like if you're completely behind a table, the arrow is not going to pierce the table, right? It's still a table.
Mhm.
Plus, in addition, when you shoot or throw range weapons at a grappling opponent, you automatically strike at the opponent you have chosen. So here's the thing: when you shoot at an enemy that is grappling, you have a percentage chance to hit either of them
Mhm.
because they're so close that it's essentially like they meld into one entity. So you have a chance to hit someone else.
Yeah, it's the like thematic idea is that
Yeah.
they're struggling against each other. So if you misjudge, you might hit your ally or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. With
Okay.
improved precise shot, you don't have that problem. Like you can just shoot at an enemy that is grappling and not have any problem with this.
Okay, that's
So
really cool.
it is really cool. So again, like you can see, like both branches do kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
Like both of them are very offensive, but in different ways. Like one gives you more option, whereas the other just gives you more attack, more attack, more attack, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. Um, so yeah, so that's what the ranger gains through its combat style. Then starting level 3, again, that was level 2. Well, 2, 6, and 11. But
Yeah.
point
It's
being,
all part of the
yeah,
same
it's
like
just
branch of abilities.
yeah. At level 3, you get the feat endurance for free. So
Okay. So
endurance
you get
lets
another
you
fee.
sleep in armor, and it gives you a bunch of bonus, like like the heat outside is really really harsh. Well, you get a +4 to resist it. You get a +4 to resist getting fatigue because of tiring march, like walking fast for like 3 days,
Yeah.
or fasting or things like that. Like it's a good fun bonus to get.
Okay, that's cool.
For yeah, level 4, you start being able to cast spells,
Awesome.
and you can cast spells all the way up to 4th level, like 1 to 4.
Mhm.
So it means that let me get this one straight. So starting level 14, you can potentially get access to 4th level spells. So the minimum to be able to cast, so you require a minimum attribute to be able to cast spells in 3.5.
Okay.
Since Ranger use Wisdom, they need to have 10 plus the level of the spell. So casting level 1 spell, you need at least 11 Wisdom. To be able to cast 4th level spell, you need at least 14 Wisdom.
Okay.
Makes sense enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So they do get access to their spells, and they have a fairly interesting spell list. Like they get access to Entangling, they get access to a bunch of very fun spells. They don't have things like Hunter's Mark for 5th edition, but they have
Okay.
sort of those same ideas. Like they have spells like Flaming Arrows, which lets them literally fire flaming arrows without
Yeah.
having to spend money into magical ammunition, which is pretty cool. However, they also get another ability at level 4. They get an animal companion.
Okay. I very much like that.
Yeah.
Uh Fundamentally, one of the things that I despise about Ranger in 5th edition
Hmm.
is the fact that your Ranger companion is tied behind a subclass.
Yes.
So you have to choose that subclass, which is fundamentally really bad.
Hmm.
Um, but like, I love that you get a companion just on principle in 3.5. That's really nice.
Yeah. So you do have a list of choices you can pick,
Hmm.
and your animal companion. So the base class that has an animal companion in 2.5 is not the ranger, is the druid. All druid get an animal companion, and the animal companion increases in power as they level up.
Hmm.
The ranger works the same way, except they count their druid level for the purpose of increasing their their animal companion equal to half their level. So at level 4, they count as a druid of level 2 for their animal companion. And they can pick from the following list of animal companions. They can pick either a badger, a camel, a dire rat, a dog, a riding dog, an eagle, a hawk, a light or heavy horse, an owl, a pony, small or medium viper, or a wolf. And if the campaign takes place wholly or partly in an aquatic environment. So this is does your DM accept that you pick one of those essentially? You can add a crocodile, a porpoise, a medium shark, and a squid to your list of animal companions that you can choose.
That's cool.
It is pretty cool. Honestly, like a crocodile can maul an enemy really, really fast. Now, I don't want to say the best one, but like one of the best ones is obviously the wolf, because wolves, when they attack with their bite, they can automatically do a trip attack on top. Which, if you trip an enemy and you're next to it, good luck for them getting up. They are not gonna get up.
Right, in 3.5, if you stand up from
Yeah.
prone within 5 feet of a target, they get an opportunity attack, don't they?
Correct. And since they are right next to the wolf
The wolf would
bites,
automatically
and
trip
then
them.
automatically does the trip attack again, so they just
Jeez,
they're just not
that's
getting up.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And now consider this. You can work in tandem with your animal companion. You get into melee, you can flank with your animal companion. You want to combat at range, you stay at range and your animal companion provides as a wall to be able to block enemies from coming to you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is really cool. After that we get our second favorite enemy at level 5, our second feat for the combat style at level 6. Level 7 we get Woodland Stride. The Woodland Stride essentially lets us move through any sort of underground that is not from a spell. So like it doesn't work on, say, like entanglement, but like any natural grout, you are not slowed down by it. Like natural terrain does not slow you. So,
Yep.
like if the DM says, "Oh, this is difficult terrain to walk at half speed," nah, man, I'm a 7th level ranger. I don't care about that.
Okay, that's very similar to what they get in 5th edition at 8th level. They get Land Stride, which is exactly the same,
Mhm.
but they also have advantage on saving throws against plants and stuff that are magically created, such as the Entangle spell.
That's nice. At level 8, they get Swift Tracker, which lets them track faster. So essentially, when you track, you have to slow down to be able to track the enemy.
Okay.
With Swift Tracker, essentially, you can keep literally walking up to speed with no problem, and not get a penalty. Or you can even run. Like essentially, you can move at double your speed, like in a forced march, and still track your enemy with only a -10 penalty instead of a -20, which would make essentially the roll impossible. -10, you still have a chance. So
It's probably gonna be a lot more difficult, but you'll still actually have a chance of doing it.
yeah,
Where if you have a -20, even if you
Yeah.
roll a natural 20,
yeah,
like you're still gonna not do very well.
no, exactly. After that, at level 9, they get Evasion. So Evasion works the same way as Evasion works. So if you succeed in a reflex saving throw against a fireball, instead of taking half damage, you take no damage. That's a pretty good defensive ability. Yes, okay,
Yeah,
it's against reflex save, which people say, yeah, it's the worst save. I don't care. You don't, like, if you say it's the worst save until you take a 10d6 fireball to the face. Then you'll talk to me about it.
Ranger doesn't get that in 5th edition.
No, they don't.
I didn't know that.
Hmm.
I guess I just don't play Ranger enough.
That's because, unfortunately, 5e made them not very fun.
Yeah.
Brief time that they did make a decent one, it was Unearthed Arcana, and it was actually OP, so immediately everyone kind of fit into this like 50-50 area of like people want to play it, that starts breaking everything the moment you start playing it.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's why I made the revised Ranger that
Mhm.
actually worked.
At level 13, they get Camouflage. So they can use the skill check to hide in any sort of terrain even if the terrain doesn't grant cover and concealment. So they can literally, like, you can be in a plane, and there could be a ranger right in front of you.
I just
Really
go
sounds like
in. I just throw a cloak over me. That's just like a just like camo, and I'm just standing there, and I just turn invisible.
yeah, essentially,
That's all.
like essentially you can just like hide in any kind of terrain, regardless of whether like it can provide covers or everything. Because to be able to use
That's
a
really
hide
nice.
check, you have to find some form of cover to be able to hide
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah, Rangers in 5th edition get something similar at 10th level.
Mhm.
They can like use, but they have to like actually use the surroundings to do it.
Yeah,
But if they do, they get a +10 to stealth checks that they make.
but to be fair, that is pretty good. Now, here's the
It
thing:
is, yeah.
Ranger at level 17 get hide in plain sight. So even if someone is directly staring at them, they can still go, "Yeah, I'm still gonna roll that hide check, and I may just disappear from your face. Because you can't see me. Like now you can see me, now you can't. They can literally do that at level 17,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
A fun fact: 5th edition's Ranger, their level 10 ability is called Hide in Plain Sight.
That's sad.
It is.
It is really sad. Now, again, all classes have variants. I'm just going to talk over the base class, and
Yeah.
if a variant comes up in one of the builds, I'm going to mention it. But otherwise, TLDR, this is the base ranger, and this is what most players are going to encounter.
Yep.
Again, each class have variants, so I'm going to give you an example because this example actually comes up in one of the builds for the ranger that we're going to discuss, the Wild Shaper Ranger. So what does the Wild Shaper Ranger does? Um, let me find it real quick. Um, hold on. I will find it. I will find it. Um,
It's alright, guys. He'll find it.
yeah, I will. I will.
Really?
It is going to happen, whether you like it or not. Wait, what? Um,
That escalated quickly.
yeah, that is going to really quickly. Um, okay, it's not on there. So okay, so there's a ranger variant called nicknamed the Wild Shaper Ranger. So what it lose the combat style. So you lose two-weapon fighting or rapid shot, many shot, and co, right? But instead you get fast movement. So you move 10 feet faster.
Mm-hmm.
And starting level 5, you get wild shape like a druid.
That's awesome.
It is really freaking cool.
So you could have a wolf as your animal companion at level 4, and then
Yeah.
at level 5 you can turn into a wolf, so you can both beat the crap out of people that are on the ground.
Yeah, or at level 16 you can turn into an elemental and start beating the other people and just don't care because you're a ranger.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
Riley
really,
doesn't
really
get
good.
that.
Hmm?
Riley doesn't get that. Druids do.
I mean, it is what it is. So that's essentially the TLDR for the ranger. Anybody has any comments on this class so far?
What the fuck? It's just a better fighter from 5th edition mixed with a ranger from 5th edition. And better.
No, it's just the
Well,
precursor.
that's 3.5 in a nutshell for you, yeah.
Yeah.
And better.
Okay. Yeah.
You understand why the push to 3.5?
Or Pathfinder. Pathfinder is also acceptable.
Well, it's based on 3.5, but still.
Yeah.
So again, as you can see, it's sort of a switch hitter. Like you can do melee pretty
Yeah.
decently, even if you don't focus on melee. Like you can still just pick a sword and be able to hammer people in the face pretty well. Again, we haven't touched on the feats that you gain every X level, every 3 levels.
That's right. That's where the like That's
Yeah.
where majority of the versatility comes in for the classes, because you get
Yeah.
feats a lot more often.
Yes. So,
Right. I completely
it-
forgot that.
yeah. So again, as you see, and all the good rangery stuff. Like for example, let's say that you want to be able to do range combat, right? So
Mhm.
you want to pick many shots. You want to get precise shots. You want to get um, all these things, right? Like, well, if you pick the range combat style, normally you would be like if you want to take improved precise shot at level 11, normally you would need at least a 19 in dexterity. You don't need that because you just bypass the prerequisites with your combat style. So you can say I'm going to put everything in strength and pick the and use like a great sword for melee and make that my main form of attack. And then put all the rest of my and pick the archery combat style and still be a very effective range combatant with like a 15 or 16 in dexterity.
Right. You might not hit as often, but because ranged attacks use strength for their damage, you're doing a lot more damage on average.
Yep.
Okay.
So again,
That's really good.
it is really good. So that's why I'm saying that the ranger is an excellent switch hitter. And again, if you want to be able to do range combat, like for example, you want to be able to do both the Dritz thing and use two combat weapon, like two weapon fighting, and still be able to use a bow. Well, you pick for your combat style, you pick the two weapon fighting, and you already get for free your three main feats, which is two weapon fighting, improved two weapon fighting, and greater two weapon fighting. So all you need to do is use your basic feats and start putting them into range combat because they're open. You can't just do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
yes,
awesome.
can double down on two weapon fightings, but you don't need to. Like you don't strictly need to. So that's why the ranger for me is a really strong class, even though people kind of underestimate it. And
Yeah,
again,
no, I can definitely see why.
yeah, and that's using the base framework. Now, here are some dirty tricks that I can throw your way. Let's say that you're a ranger and you decide to follow Mistra or Azur, the gods of magic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a feat called Sword of the Arcane Order, which requires you to be either a paladin or a ranger. Specifically, you need to be either one of these. If you pick this feat, you add to your ranger or to your paladin
How?
spell list
Mm-hmm.
all the sorcerer and wizard spells up
What the
to
fuck?
yeah. So now you can cast all the wizard spell all the way up to 4th level. So things like polymorph or black tentacles or dimension door.
Holy crap.
Yes, that's one feat. You get one every 3 levels. So 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18.
What the fuck?
Admittedly, you have to be able to cast spells at this point, so you need to be at least
Yeah.
level 6. Well, at level 4, but level 6 because that's when you get your next feat. But still, at level 6, you add all first level wizard spells to your spell list. Pick a ranger and have it cast shield and get into
Yeah.
melee, and suddenly, yeah, okay, I don't care. My AC is like through the roof.
That's amazing.
It is really powerful. Now, there's a variant of the ranger that gets up to 6 level spell.
Oh no. Why have you done this?
Again, to showcase to you, like people underestimate the ranger a lot.
Yeah.
They,
And
they
then 5th edition made them garbage.
yeah, and
That's awesome.
and again, you look at this right, and you're looking, wow, that's crazy. In 3.5, people consider the ranger a trash tier class compared to what other things people quote unquote say high tier classes can be.
Yeah.
Like the ranger is considered a like in the system, like in the old forums, people would classify classes based on tiers. And if you were tier 1, essentially you were a wizard, a cleric, or a druid, and literally nothing else. Ranger were considered a 5th tier. Look at everything that I can do with a ranger. I haven't gone through the builds yet. I just surface touch the ranger. And they consider trash tier.
Yeah, that's either like that makes me think that either people are nuts and don't know what the hell they're talking about, or everything else is a god.
I mean, A and B, to be honest, but
Yeah.
not the point. Like, again, see how wild you can do the ranger.
That's
Now, again,
baffling.
those are some dirty tricks that I can throw your way, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to use dirty tricks. Again, like you can just,
Hmm.
as I said, be a
Just be a
half-orc
regular dude.
ranger, put your 18 in strength to get a 20 in strength at level 1, pick a great sword, pick defeat power attack at level 1, and you are going to smack things down really, really, really fast. Especially if they are your favorite enemy.
Yeah. No. Just ranger alone is baffling.
Mhm.
I can't imagine the rest.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? We go through the 5 builds on the website and
Yeah, if you do.
showcase. Hmm?
Yeah, that's as we discussed. In
Okay.
fact.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this segment will be very much more leaning on you guys because I don't know jack about them.
Okay.
I will probably ask questions every once in a while, but other than that, I'll probably fade off into the background for a bit.
No, you're good
for
to
now,
ask
though,
questions.
I
Ask
will-
all the questions.
Oh,
Ask
yeah.
all
I
the
know.
questions.
Yes.
I plan on it. I will, however, be going AFK for a couple minutes.
Okay.
I want to get something to drink and.
Okay. Let us know. Let us know. So.
Yeah. Back in
So
a bit.
what are? Yeah. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for Rainy, because I want him to be there for the bills, because his reactions are going to be crazy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the Ranger so far?
Well, I mean, with the familiarity there of all that, of course, the Ranger is a badass. I mean, there's a reason why we have the entire notion that's kind of intertwined, mixed around in circles, of Grizzit.
Yes.
Because effectively, the Ranger is based off the concept of Grizzit, which is based off the concept of the Ranger at the stage we're talking about.
Yes.
And so you have this absolute abject, capable, as said, switch hitter. That's pretty much the principal idea behind the Ranger, of course. And we see that very well implemented in this particular situation, as you said earlier. So, yeah, like there's not much for me to say about the Ranger overall, other than the Ranger is indeed a badass, is a force to be reckoned with in the right hands, and people that, quite honestly, folks that say that it doesn't have the standing, it's more they just don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
It's specialized.
Well,
Well,
it's
that's the thing.
the opposite way around. It's not specialized. Like it's a jack of all trades.
Hmm.
Like it's got a splash of a bunch of stuff, but it's a jack of all trades in a different way than say the bard.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's a more combat focused kind of like jack of all trades rather than and even then, that's sort
Yeah.
of arguable because they still have a bunch of skills. They are very, very good scout. And like again, if you do a ranger that follows Mr. Who has it and pick the sort of the Arcane Order, suddenly you can cast a lot of spells. So again, like it all depends on how you want to do this, and even social. Like, okay, sure, you're not going to be like a charisma-based character, right? But you're still going to be able to like investigate or like while everybody is up there, right, in the social endeavor, like in the ball, and everybody's like he's trying to politicking into their things. Well, you're down there talking with the mouse and getting the mouse to spy for people inside of this for you. Because Ranger get the spell Speak with Animals, and they have Wild Empathy, which essentially works like diplomacy but for animals, so you don't care. So again, it's just about how you approach things with the Ranger. And people are like, yes, violently, but you don't need to be violent either. Like, yeah, again, it's like I don't know why people don't like the Ranger like this, because the Ranger can be really, really fun to play. Um, I think the main reason why people don't like the Ranger is because they overemphasize one aspect or the other of the Ranger. They're going, if I'm going to do a ranged combatant, I'm going to go all in with the Ranger, and all my feats are going to go in weapon focus, longbow, and put everything I do in range all the time, and this. And then I'm only going to be somewhat mediocre at being able to do that. Or like I'm going to be able to do it very well, but I'm not going to be able to do literally anything else,
Yeah.
which is wrong.
Well, and as you were saying before, the very nature of the Ranger is not that. Like it has to have that split off. It doesn't get the. It's not basically a fancy freaking what should we call it? A fancy fighter. That makes sense what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say there. It's its own thing. Whereas the fighters are the super specialized ones. You know, they're the ones who are like, we do this thing as to the extreme level. Whereas the Ranger's like, no, I'm gonna do a little bit of this, I'm gonna do a little bit of that. And as I said, jack of all trades and plays around with the idea. And and again, it's oftentimes, a lot of classes end up with that problem where it's like, well, I have to basically be hyper specialized. It's like, well, that's not the role.
Mhm.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, and I think that's what's people essentially like either disregarding or their counter argument that they're going through usually is, well, but you need to spread your abilities too thin to be able to do anything well. Excuse me, but like if you like you need a 14 in wisdom to be able to do your thing, to cast your spells at level 40. At this point, you probably have a magic item that's going to boost your wisdom if your wisdom is too low. Like if you really, really must. Yes, you're probably going to have a few points. Like you're probably going to have at least a 14 in Constitution because everyone else is also going to have at least a 14 Constitution. So why don't you?
I'll
Like
just ask the
that's
wizard to
just not
make
an
you something.
argument. Yeah, you can even have an 8 in Intelligence and you still get 5 points, 5 skill points per level, which is more than the Barbarian does, like default. So again, like that's such a non-argument, and you could go almost all the way up. Like the only two real abilities that you need to get somewhat high are Strength and Dex. And even then, like Dex, you can make an argument, honestly, not to increase it all that much. Well, yes, your AC is going to suck, for sure. But you're a damage dealer. You're not a tank. And even then, you can still off tank if you so choose. Like for like again, I want to delay getting into the builds as much as possible, but like the first build that in the Ranger has a 16 in both strength and dexterity with the point buy that I was giving them. So that's still a +3 both for strength and range and dexterity. That means that you can get a pretty decent AC starting on, even though you're wearing only light armor. You can even pick a shield, and suddenly your AC is pretty decent. Like you pick, for example, a studded leather, right, which gives you a +3 and +3 from dexterity. So now you have a 16 AC. That's decent. You pick a shield, 18 AC. Again, level 1, you have an AC of 18. Congratulations. Well, yeah, but you have lower hit points. I don't care. I have an 18 AC. That's not the point. And once again, the point is I'm supposed to be a damage dealer. Like, I'm not supposed to be the the tank. Like I don't like my goal is
Or
not to
not
go
the
around with my
barbarian.
full. Yeah, I don't. That's not the point of what I'm doing. The point is I'm being versatile. I can pick up the shield and be able to off tank. I'm not going to be a main tank, but I can off tank.
I
I
mean,
can
that's
do.
also Yeah, I was just going to say that that's also where the whole idea of team composition comes around. Like,
Yep.
you should have someone that can fulfill that role, even if it's just a fighter with big heavy armor. Like,
Right.
you shouldn't necessarily need to fulfill that role, but
Mhm.
it's always the opportunity of, if I need to fill it, I can.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, I won't do as well as the barbarian or the fighter that are predominantly designed by the player to fulfill that role. I can assist them as, say, the off tank, obviously. But then in a situation where the fighter is nowhere to be seen because they got, say, banished. Like,
Oh.
someone banished them. I'm a ranger. I am tankier than the wizard and the definitely not a tank cleric. I am probably at the moment, the best person for this position until we get the fighter back. I should step in.
Yep.
But then it becomes a race of, how do we get the fighter back?
Hmm.
And then you have to deal with being the damage and the tank while protecting the squishies, but then they're also doing their own thing trying to get their fighter back.
Yeah,
So-
and even then, like let's say that we're level 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things, and the fighter or the barbarian goes down. The wizard casts, I don't know, like the wizard has both shield and mage armor up, so he goes, all right, I cannot heal, and the rogue cannot heal, but we need a fighter back ASAP. Can we buy you time? The wizard is still going to have a massive AC over there, and he goes like, all right, cast a big spell, and like goes, hey, come and get me, right? Which people casting like he casts a scorching ray, everybody's going to look at the wizard like, okay, you're next. So as a ranger, you sneak around, get next to the fighter while everybody's busy trying to hit the wizard, which is with its 20 different like illusionary clone from mirror image, plus mage armor, plus all this bullcrap because he's a wizard. And
Yeah.
you go to next to the fighter and you go, your light wound. Because you can. You're a ranger.
And then you can also, if you take that the wizard quote unquote wizard sorcerer feat, you can do that as well.
Yes.
Just
Again, you can
Good
fill all
lord.
those roles pretty organically.
yeah.
And again, so
Yeah.
we're going to go through the different builds that we have on the website, and I'm going again to showcase and give my thoughts about each of these builds real quick, like what I had in mind with this.
Yeah.
So the first build, called the um, Wild's Master, is a core only build. So essentially,
So it's
I'm only using the Pearson book, the Dungeon Master Guide, and the Monster Manual. I'm not using any other book
Okay.
to make the build.
Okay.
Because again, another argument is, well, all those classes, like again, you can make something decent outside of core, but you need like 20 billion splat to be able to make your build work. Let me show you how that's not true. So this build is a half-elf, which is regarded largely as the single worst race that you can pick in core, because it doesn't have any ability bonus, and it gets like +2 in diplomacy, and that's pretty much it. Essentially, you
So
get low light vision.
You effectively get nothing that would help a ranger.
Essentially,
Okay.
so I picked the half elf again here to make a point
Yeah.
for this build. I went Ranger 11, Horizon Walker, the Prestige class 9. I'm going to go over the specifics in a moment, but keep in mind that the build is Ranger 11, Horizon Walker 9. Now, it doesn't go Ranger 11 and then Horizon Walker 9. It goes Ranger 6, Horizon Walker 9, and then Ranger +5, essentially.
Okay.
So the only prerequisite that you need to get into a Horizon Walker as a ranger, because it requires you to have the feat Endurance, which you get for free at level 3. So you don't have any prerequisites to get into Horizon
So you can
Walker.
just take.
You can just, well, that's the thing. There is a prerequisite, which is it requires you to have at least eight skill ranks in the skill knowledge geography. That's it. That's
Oh.
all you need. You need to spend 8 of your points in knowledge geography, which you can put all the way up to 4 points at level 1. Meaning that at level 5 you could enter it as soon as level 6. This build waits until level 7 to get into it because I want the improved combat style. But you could take it at level 5 at level 6 if you so wish. Now, and what does the Horizon Walker do? Essentially, it lets you pick a terrain, and you get super buff for that terrain. So you get a bunch of bonuses against creatures that live on that terrain. You get a bonus to attack, a bonus to damage against them, but you also get a bonus on different skill checks. So, for example, if you pick Forest, you get a +4 on height check, for example.
Okay.
So this build starts with its starting ability scores. So all those builds use point buy, and they use 32 point buy. 32 point buy is this. The argument is that it's the standard, essentially, point buy that you want to get for your characters in 3.5. There are people who are saying, well, no, 28. There are some people who say 36. 36 is for a really cool character. Most people tend to agree that 32 is pretty much like the DM should give you 32 for decent-ish character. If they want to make things harder, they can give you 26 or even less.
Okay,
28 or less.
Isn't the primary argument, because I know that it is for how it is for 5th edition. Isn't the primary argument based on the idea of it being between power fantasy and high magic and then medium magic settings, kind of in that sort of thing?
TLDR, yes.
Okay.
Hyper TLDR. That's essentially the argument. Essentially, everybody agrees, 32 is the standard that you're going to see at tables if you're going 3.5.
Okay, cool.
So your base ability scores are going to be a strength of 16, a dexterity of 16, a constitution of 12, an intelligence of 10, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 8. Now again, you don't even strictly need that 14 in wisdom, but I picked wisdom 14. I picked those specific for the sake of the argument.
Yeah.
So what does this build do? At level 1, again, as a ranger, you get track for free. The feat that this build took at level 1 is power attack. So how power attack works is it lets you trade off your attack bonus, your base attack bonus, for bonus of damage immediately.
Okay. So is it 1-to-1?
Quote unquote, yes. So how this works, if you use you cannot use, in 3.5, you cannot use it with light weapons. You cannot power attack with a dagger, which I personally disagree with, but that's, again, if we're going by the rules in 3.5, you can do it. In Pathfinder, you can. Yeah. In Pathfinder, you can. In Pathfinder, it essentially gives half the bonus. 3.5, you can't. If you're using with one-handed weapon, it's a 1-to-1. If you're using a two-handed weapon, however, it's double.
Okay, so it's 1-to-2.
Yeah, it's a 1-to-2. So what you do with this build is you start off with a longsword that you pick in 2 hands, or you pick a great sword. And now at level 1, you can trade off your +1 PAB to get a +2 to damage, plus your strength bonus, and potentially plus your favorite enemy bonus. So now you can hit someone over the face for 2d6, +4 for the strength, +2, so for +6. With the power attack, +8 damage for the favored enemy. So already you can essentially one-shot pretty much anything that you're going to see at level 1 if you hit. And again, with favored enemy, you have another +2 to attack. So there's a very good chance that you're, if you choose your favorite enemy correctly, you're pretty much guaranteed to maul anything that you're going to encounter. with your melee combat. And you can still do semi-decently at range, right? You can still hit at +4 and deal your weapon's damage. If you manage to get a composite longbow or composite shortbow, then you can even add potentially up to +3 to damage. So that's how this build starts off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, level 2, this build picks the combat style archery. So level 2, you get rapid shot. So now you can get into melee and deal a ton of damage with one strike, or you can stay on site, pick your bow, and attack twice. So potentially taking down 2 enemies, or focusing fire on one enemy and making sure that it goes down.
Okay, interesting.
So the build is still already starting level 2. Your build is already versatile. It already does what it says on the tin. It's already a fantastic switch hitter. Starting level 2.
Yeah, I mean, level 1 you took the melee focused ability, and then level 2 you took the ranged focused ability. You've already basically given yourself a large degree of versatility with how you see combat.
Yeah.
That's at level
Now,
2.
Yeah, that's at level 2. I'm going to blow your mind starting level 3. Level
I hate you
3,
already.
yeah. Level 3, I picked the feat weapon finesse, which lets me choose to it let me say I'm going to pick my dexterity to attack with certain types of melee weapons, including say a rapier. So you still have your great sword that you can power attack with, right?
Mhm.
You can now pick a shield. You can even just pick a buckler, because you can use a buckler with your longbow, because the buckler doesn't it doesn't hit your hand, it goes over here, right?
It goes on the not on the
The-
wrist, but like on the forearm, doesn't it?
Yeah. So essentially, it gives you only a +1, but you can make them magical items, and that's the thing with Dungeons and Dragons. It's like what Team Fantasyland, so you get a bunch of magic items all over the place. That's the
Yeah.
entire point. But even then, because you're proficient with shield, even if you don't want to use a buckler, you can use a regular ass shield and pick your rapier. And now, whenever you increase your dexterity, sure, you're not going to be dealing a ton of damage like you do with your greatsword, but you're still going to be able to hit way more often because you're going to increase your dexterity with this build. And because you're only wearing light armor, your dexterity can get through the roof, meaning that now you can have a ton of AC. And now starting level 3, you can essentially tank with an 18 armor class. No, even more than that, 19, because you probably picked a paint shard by this point. So you have 19 AC at level 3, if you so choose. Or you can lower your AC by 2, put back the rapier, because at this point you're dealing 1d6 plus 3 points of damage, plus your favorite enemy. Or you can put it back, pick your greatsword, and just start hacking for a ton of damage immediately. Or, the enemies are scattering about, pull back the greatsword, pick the longbow, and start peppering them with rapid fire. Level 3, you can do all 3 things in combat.
I hate you already.
Yeah, that's a core-only build. I'm only using the player handbook so far. I haven't touched anything else.
Yeah.
So, level 4, you get an animal companion, your first +1 to an ability score. So you're going to increase your dex because you want to increase your
The
dex with this
AC
build.
and to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More AC,
okay.
more to hit with your range combat. Sure, your two-handed weapon is going to slow down a little bit, but there are ways around that. It's fine. So again, plus you also get your animal companion. So now on top of all of this crap, you can have a wolf that trip people for you. So you get into melee next to them. Oh, they try to hammer you from down. You have the high ground over them, so your AC is higher. Now your AC is 22 over them, so you just go pink with your shield and you start poking them with your rapier. And every time they try to get up, your wolf is tripping them back down, and you're poking them with your rapier. Or if you want to take
So-
them down faster, you can just grab the greatsword, and the second that they try to get up, attack of opportunity, bam, 20 million damage.
Yeah. Okay. So, how does beating the crap out of someone on the ground work? Because in 5th edition you get advantage. I don't believe 3.5 has advantage, does it?
It doesn't.
At least
but
not in the same way.
No, but you have high ground, so that means that you have a +2 to your AC and a +1 to attack.
Okay.
And if the second that they try to move to get up, they get an attack of opportunity from you.
Yeah.
So you're hitting them, and they are not hitting you. Also, when they are on the ground, they themselves get a negative to attack against anyone else that is not up. They get a bonus to their armor class against range enemies because they're a more difficult target for range, right? So they have a
Yeah, 'cause
plus
they're
4 AC against
horizontal.
them, but they have themselves a negative 4 to attack against any enemy that is up next to them.
Okay, so it having an opponent on the ground is less advantageous for you, but it's more disadvantageous for them.
Oh, I mean, if you're at range, it's disadvantageous for you. But if you get
Well, yeah, I
near
mean,
them, it's
I'm talking
advantageous for you
specifically.
and it's advantageous for them.
Yeah, I mean, like proportionally, it's more disadvantageous for them to be on the ground, so they
Oh,
want
yes.
to stand up, which
Yeah.
means that you're going to be beating the crap out of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now, there are tricks about that. This build doesn't emphasize on this trick, this particular trick, but I could have. But I wanted to stay more core, so I didn't touch on
Yeah.
this. But like, for example, standing up is a movement. It's a movement-based attack of opportunity. You can get thing like stand still, which means, oh, I give you an attack of opportunity, and now your speed is 0, meaning you literally cannot get
Stand
up.
up. Oh no.
Like, that's the kind of crap that you can do, to give you an idea. Again, this build doesn't go there, but it could.
That's
Yes,
that's so mean.
it is. It is. It is. All right. So we're going to skip all the way to level 6 at this point. So at level 6,
Mhm.
you have your second favorite enemy with this build, and you get your improved combat style, meaning that you get many shots. So now you can move around the field, like get next to to the best situation that you can, and still shoot twice. Or you can stay on there and shoot 3 times. Or
Okay.
get into melee, get your shield, your rapier, and be fairly good at tanking, or just pull your greatsword and start hacking, right? Like you have
Mhm.
all the combat options. You can cast spells, so you can cure light wounds. You can talk to animals. You can um, entangle enemies. You can control. Plus, you have all the skills because the only skill prerequisite that you have is one skill at 8 points. So at this point, you can do hide, climb, swim, curse, like all the things, just all the things. And at level 6, your feat that you get is weapon focused rapier. So now your rapier is super accurate. Like super accurate. Like there's no way you're missing with your rapier at level 6. Level 7, you take your first level of Horizon Walker, and you pick Underground. Now, why are we picking Underground? Let me read it to you because this is super funny. So, again, as I said earlier, you get a bunch of bonuses by your terrains, right?
Mhm.
So you get a +1 insight bonus on attack rolls and damage rolls against creature with that terrain mentioned in the environment and throughout the description. So you don't even need to be on that terrain. If the creature that you're fighting has that terrain on the description where it's a possibility where they live, you get a bonus against them.
Okay.
Period.
So, for example, that could be everything from a mole to a land shark
Mhm.
to a goblin.
Yep. Now, here's the
Okay.
fun things. With Underground, you suddenly get 60-foot dark vision.
Wait, you just get that?
You just get dark vision. So now you are a ranger with dark vision, low light vision as a half elf, because half elves don't have dark vision in 3.5. They only have low light vision. Now you have
That's right.
dark vision.
That's yeah. I forgot that 3.5 differentiates dark vision and low light vision.
Hmm.
Because dark vision is specifically you can see even without a light source,
Yep.
but low light vision requires a light source to provide you that benefit, doesn't it?
Yep.
But
Right.
the note is that dark vision is black and white,
Yep.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
you don't have the
Okay.
fidelity. You can see, but you can't see the details you might need to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's your first one at level 7 that we're
Mhm.
picking. After that, level 8, we're picking Forest, which gives us a +4 to our height check. So
Wow.
if we have put all our points, like if we have kept our hide at this point, at the maximum, at level 8, we would have a, like, at this point at level 8, we also have our second +1 to dexterity. So now dexterity is 18. So without magic item, without spells, and without buffs, all the time while we are rolling a height check, we are rolling a height check of +8, +3 for the maximum skill point, so +11, +15, +19. So you have a +19 to hide at level 8.
You're a level 20 rogue in 5th edition.
Yep. At
Fuck
level
me.
8.
Fuck
At level
me, man.
9, at level 9, we're picking the marsh terrain, which gives us that same bonus on move silently. And at level
Right.
9, we get. Mhm.
They're
They're
different, aren't
different. They're different. And at level 9, we pick the feat Improved Initiative, so now we have +8 to roll for initiative. So we are most likely going to go first,
I hate this.
which lets us pick the best option from the get-go. Oh, that enemy is probably very squishy in melee. Pick the greatsword, run at them. Oh, I need to block that enemy because that enemy is going to fuck up my wizard in the next round. Pull up the shield, pull up the rapier, charge a guy, and get into melee into his face. And now, if he tries to get away, you have your animal companion that can trip him. You have a bunch of things. Oh, the enemies are probably not a good idea to engage in melee. Pull your bow and start peppering them.
I can already tell that 3.5 is going to ruin me.
It is. It's beautiful. Again, that's level 9. Level 10, you pick the planes. The planes give you +4 to spot check. So your perception,
Okay.
essentially.
Yeah.
A free +4 to perception. Put that into perspective. And that's at level 10. Level 11, you pick hills, which gives you your listen check. So now, like, all your perception and all your essentially your stealth and your perception are now +4 on top of everything else, which is crazy. Level 12, you get your +1 again in dexterity, and you pick the feat dodge, which by itself is not all that great. Essentially, you can pick one enemy and you say, against that enemy this round, until my next round, I have +1 AC against them. But it's
Okay.
still a +1 free AC, right? Like, that's not something
Mhm.
to spit on necessarily. Now, here's the thing. Now you get access to planar terrain mastery as a horizon walker. So now you can pick plains as your favorite terrain. So what you pick, and those give you a very special kind of bonus. So the one that I picked in this case is the shifting plane for your level 11. So what does it do? It lets you use the spell-like ability Dimension Door for free once every 1d4 round.
That's
now-
awesome.
Once every d4 round, you can just teleport up to 120 feet somewhere. It just go like... No, I think it's even more. I think it's like 500 feet or something.
Dimension door is 500 feet, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you can just... And for, like, again, you don't spend a spell slot. You don't do anything. You just get it for free once. Again, it's your standard action, so it does eat your action. But it still lets you go around like exactly
I
where you
mean,
need.
Looking at it though, you're moving 500 feet as a standard action. A regular, let's say a regular human with a... Humans have 30 feet of movement in 3.5, or do they have 25?
They have 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking at 1d4 rounds.
Yep.
A human using its movement and its action to dash will move 60 feet per round.
Yep.
That's 60, 120, 180, 240 odd.
Yep.
Move. they're getting half the distance
Yep.
in that 1d4 round
Yep.
than you are on the maximum roll of 500 feet.
Yep.
So
I think it's even more than that in 3.5.
Is it?
It's 400 feet plus 40 feet per caster level. Your caster level is your complete level, so all the way up to 1,200 feet.
Yeah. So you're if they don't have a way to catch you,
Yeah, they're not gonna catch you. They're just not.
no, they are not going to catch you, and then it becomes a point where they either have to give up the chase,
Yep.
or get peppered to death.
Yep. After that, we have level 13. You pick the planar terrain mastery cavernous. So the cavernous terrain gives you tremor sense with 30 feet.
I hate this so much.
What's there
At
to hate
level
about
40
it?
It's less that I hate it as a thing, but more that I hate it as like a.
Mhm.
This makes me hate 5th edition even more.
Yeah. So
And I love 5th
Ranges are
edition. As
good in 3.5.
as flawed as 5e is, I do enjoy it because it's simple.
that's fair.
But it is so bad.
So level 14 of this build, you get the planar terrain mastery aligned. So essentially, whenever you go on a plane that has a specific alignment, you don't get the penalties if you're not that alignment. So you can be chaotic good in hell and enjoy it completely fine. Like, don't worry about it. Level 15, you get the feat mobility, which lets you get a +4 to your AC if you trigger against attacks of opportunity when you move. So even if you have to move without your dimension door, you're just not gonna get hit. And you get the planetary mastery weightless, which gives you a +30 foot bonus to your fly speed on planes with no gravity or subjective gravity. So if you're going on like plane of air, ethereal plane, astral plane, you're just like don't worry
Zoom
about
in.
it. You're just super fast. Yeah. After that, you have we go back to Ranger after this. So after that, we're going back to Ranger. We pick up Woodland Stride at level 16. Level 17, we get our Swift Tracker. Level 18, we get our Evasion. So fairly late, but we also get the feat Spring Attack. So now we can move, attack someone, and then move again.
Because you can't do that base mechanics. If
Yeah.
you move, you have
you
to
move-
use all your movement, or you lose it
Yeah.
if you attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can just move, attack, move.
And that is what you use to trigger mobility.
Yeah, because like they are going to try to attack you, but your AC is going to be super high, so you don't care. So you just zigzag through the battlefield, get to your
Yeah.
target, and just start hacking. Or depending, or if you need to get to a certain place and there's an enemy on the road, you can just zigzag, get your bow, and start peppering again. Or things like
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. Level 19, you get your third favorite enemy. At level 20, you get your improved precise shot. And again, so this is the this is the core only build. It's that simple. We only so far for this build we have only used the player handbook and the dungeon master guide. We have literally not used a single other book. And we can do all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, we don't have a ton of hit points, but it's not all that like again, that's not the point. So that was good, right?
Yeah, although
Let's although
well, although I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna point out that the timing, geez. I mean, I did
I
expect
know.
it to take. Well, I did kind of warn you too. But,
Yeah, I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to have to run to do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
Because I have something tomorrow
Okay.
morning.
Yep.
Pretty fast. But let's go through them as fast as we can. We still have 4 of them to go. So the second build is a shape changer. So for this build, I open up all the books. So I took the variant of the ranger for the wild shaping. So now we have wild shape. That's going to be very important. I picked the race changeling. Why changeling? Because changelings are cool, but because it lets you for free qualify for some stuff, and it lets you choose a certain ability anyway. Essentially, like I took it because I'd be able to take all the forms, right? But just fun. So I went for this build: Wild Shaper Ranger 5, Master of Many Form 10s, Nature Warriors 3, and War Shaper 2. We're gonna go back to all this in a moment, but her ability score, I went for Strength of 12, Dex of 16, Constitution of 16, Intelligence of 10, Wisdom of 14, and Charisma of 8. And the prerequisites for this build, you need a minimum of Knowledge Nature 8, Knowledge Discipline 2, so it's going to eat you 4 points. That's not a problem. It's not the end of the world. And Survival 8, which we were already going to take anyway. Okay. How this build is going to work. But for one, if you notice, we have a 16 in Constitution. So at level 1, we have 11 hit points. Not bad. Like, honestly, we can take a hit.
Yeah.
Again, at this point, we have at level 1, because we are a variant, we have access to we still have our wild empathy, we still have our track, we still have our first favorite enemy. And on top of that, we also have fast movement. So we are moving 40 feet at level 1. Plus, at level 1, our feat is going to be Weapon Finesse, which lets us use our Dexterity for melee. That's for now. It's going to get much worse later. Level 2, we don't get anything except our hit points. That's harsh. But it's fine. We still get a better attack. We still get, again, we get more. We don't get more damage, but we get more accurate. Level 3, we get our free endurance, but we also pick a feat, which is a prerequisite, unfortunately, and it's the feat Alertness, which gives us a +2 to spot and listen checks.
Okay.
It is a prerequisite for one of our prestige class, which is why we're picking at level 3. Level 4, at level 4, we pick our, we get an animal companion, and we get actually our +1 is going to go into Constitution. We don't need to increase our physical abilities except for Constitution, because we want to be able to take a few hits with this build. So we're really going to increase our Constitution rather than our Dexterity or Strength. Level 5, we get our first wild shape. So now we can take the form of a wolf or the form of a brown bear, of a black bear, and never care about our physical abilities ever again. Starting level 5. Plus we get our second favorite enemy, all that. Level 6, we pick the feat Improved Toughness. Why Improved Toughness? Because Improved Toughness essentially gives you a +1 hit point per level. And it's retroactive. So at level 5, instead of gaining 1d8 plus 3, in this case, since we're taking our first level Nature's Warrior, we're actually getting 1d10 plus 9 hit points.
Okay.
So, bam, like one level, bam, up, possibly 19 hit points in one go. We're also picking Nature's Weapon, or first Nature's Weapon. Now, here's the thing for the Nature's Weapon. You've got a few choices. We got a few choices for Nature's Weapon. We also increase. We got Wildling, which essentially we count like all the levels of Nature Warrior counts as a level of Druid for wild shaping. So we now get 2 wild shape per day, starting level 6. And we choose one of Nature's Armament. Now, I have not specified which one you're going to take with this build, but I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to take Claws of the Grizzlies, because now your natural weapon, so essentially like the form that you're taking, gets a free +3 damage to all their natural weapon.
Oh, jeez. Kind of already see
That's
where
a
this is
pro-
going.
Yeah, this is gonna get ugly real fast.
Yeah.
Um,
This is absolutely nuts.
yeah, and that's at level 6. Level 7, you pick your first level of Master of Many Forms, and that's where this build goes absolutely just hammered. Okay, because now you've got Shifter Speech, which bypasses the prerequisite for you to have like nature spell to be able to cast your spells in your wild shape. Now you can just cast your spell in any wild shape form that you're taking. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So you could just be a badger and start casting like thunderstorms and shit.
Yep. I mean, you don't have a lot of spells because it's not like your purpose,
Yeah.
but you can do that. And
I was just
Master
giving like
King-
a basic example, but yeah.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Every single time that you take a level in Master of Many Forms, you get +1 use of your wild shape per day. So by the time that you get 10 levels of Master of Many Form, you get +10 wild shape per day. And every wild shape lasts for 1 hour per druid level.
So eventually,
Yeah,
you
you're
just
just all the time.
always an
wild shape.
animal.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, Master of Many Form. Now, at this point, before that, like up to level 6, you can only take the form of an animal, of a medium-sized animal, in fact, or a small size. Starting level 7, you can also take the form of any humanoid with your wild shape.
Wait. Okay. Clarification question.
Yes,
Is it always the same humanoid, or is
Nope.
it any humanoid?
any humanoid. See where this is going.
I fucking hate this.
Okay, that's level 7.
This is awesome.
This is level 7. Level 8, you get another +1 in Constitution, and this time you get you are now able to take up to large size wild shape. So now you can be a large humanoid, you can be a large animal, and you also gain giants. So now you can take the form of a giant.
So you could be like an ogre.
Yeah, or you can be a hill giant or a stone giant.
Aren't they considered huge?
No, they're both of them are large at this in 3.5.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Different games.
Yeah. And
Jeez.
that's at level 8. So you increase your constitution again. Level 9, you take improve initiative for more initiative once again. And now you get fast will shape. So instead of taking your standard action, it's taking a swift action. So essentially, in 5e term, it's taking your bonus action to wild shape.
Yeah, you become a moon druid, but better
Yeah.
in every capacity.
Yeah, and on top of that, you can now take any monstrous humanoid form. So now you can wild shape into a minotaur, or a centaur, or choose your poison. That's at level 9. Level 10, you can take tiny forms, and you can also take the form of any fae.
So you can become a pixie or a fairy.
You can become a pixie, you can become a furry, you can take a bunch of different very, very nasty forms.
I become a tooth fairy.
Level 11, you can take the form of a vermin, so
Rats.
you can take the thing. No, rats are animals. We're talking
not-
spiders, scorpions, and so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought rats were considered vermin.
Yes, but no. It's D&D. Level
Right.
12. Level 12, you can take up to huge size forms, and now you can also take aberration. So you can turn into a beholder now.
The shit.
Yes. Plus, you pick the feat combat reflexes. So whenever someone triggers an attack of opportunity against you, you can have
have
multiple
each
attacks of.
reaction.
Yeah, you can have multiple up to your dex modifier per turn.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so you take a form that has a ton of dex, and now you have a bunch of attacks of opportunity. This gets even this more disgusting. Level 13, you get Extraordinary Wild Shape. So any ability that is extraordinary, that has the EX next to their abilities, you
Yeah.
get those abilities too when you're in that wild shape. Instead
What
of
the
just their
fuck?
stats. Yeah, so now if your character has a breath weapon and it's an extraordinary attack, you get that.
So, let's just say,
Yes.
for argument's purposes, let's just say a dragon, like an ancient dragon, decided to become a wild shaper, and then they transformed into, let's use a weasel
Yes.
as the example. They could just like walk around as a weasel, and then out of nowhere, there's just this fire-breathing weasel.
No, it's the contrary. If the weasel decides to become a dragon, they can breath weapon.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Okay, that's much-
the weasel stinging.
That's much less awesome, because I love the idea of just being a weasel and just being like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna breathe fire now.
Yeah. Also at level 13,
But
you can take
that's
the
so
form of
awesome.
plant creatures.
So you could become
So-
like a
A treant or a shambling mound or things like that.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Level 14, you can take the form of an ooze. Like a gelatin cube.
I don't like that. No.
You can also become diminutive, so this is like very, very, very small.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
what are they? Freaking the like. It's tiny. It's small. It's the tiny size of tiny.
Yeah, essentially. So, level 15, you can take the form of an elemental.
Okay.
And you also take the feat Rubbler's Gambit. So Rubbler's Gambit, how this works, enemies have +4 to attack you, but every single time that they attack you in melee, they trigger an attack of opportunity. Enjoy. Enjoy. It just,
I don't like it.
yeah. This build is not over yet. We're only at level 15. Guess what we get next level. Take a wild guess what we get at level 15.
Celestials or demons? Or devils?
No. We have ever shifting form. So when we take a wild shape, with that one use of wild shape, we can just take any form. We can just shapeshift in any form that we can take a form of through it. Every single round, we can just switch our form.
Okay, so you could go from an elemental to an ooze to a monstrous humanoid to whatever else. Okay.
We also, at this point, we have, like to give you an idea, we have 11 wild shape per day.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
That's quite
And
a
we
few.
can-
Jack.
16 hours per form, which is
Yeah.
like
And
if you don't lose all the hit points.
yeah.
Good lord.
And at level 16, you also get to get up to Gargantuan in forms.
Okay, so you can become like a dragon, like an.
And the other thing is you can turn into a dragon. So at level 16, you can take the form of a dragon.
Oh, so you can actually become a dragon. Jeez.
Yeah, you can actually turn into a dragon.
Okay.
Starting that's level 20, level 16. Yeah, level 17. Level 17, that's where we start breaking this thing. Because this thing was not broken yet. It was...
What the
yeah, this thing was okay. Level 17 is where we start breaking this. So at this point, we take our 2 levels of Warshaper.
Okay.
Level 17, we get Morphic Weapon. Morphic Weapon lets us literally manifest from our body any natural weapon that exists. So now we can be a dragon with 20 million tentacles.
Very rude.
Yes. So now we have 20 million attack per round. Enjoy. We can just choose any amount of natural weapon and we can manifest them. Congratulations.
Why?
Plus, every single of our natural weapons are considered one size larger for their damage.
Okay, so I think a bite is a D6, which would mean that it would be D8.
That's if you're medium. If you're
Yeah.
a gargantuan dragon, your bite is 4d6. Now it's 8d6.
Good lord.
Now, here's the thing. You also get something else called morphic immunity. So because you can rearrange all your organs all the time and they're always shifting, you are completely and utterly immune to critical hit and precision-based damage, including sneak attack.
Okay. That's
So you-
so you
yeah.
basically just become an undead that is like also
One of
a
the-
adamantite elemental. Not elemental, construct.
Yep.
This is all while in another form, such
Yeah,
as
like
a dragon.
Yeah.
And what happens with
Oh.
the form rules, by the way?
Because they're all EX. Any EX ability is innate to the form as well.
Correct.
What the shit?
Yeah. Now, level 18, you get morphic body. So, at any time in any form, all your forms, plus your base form, get a free +4 to your constitution and +4 to your strength.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep. That's just,
What-
you just get a +4 to your strength and your constitution in any forms.
What does that put your con at then?
At this point, your con
Because it was
would
16
be,
originally, and then
yeah,
you put
you've increased it at least 4 times at
4
this point, so it's
times?
20, so it's 24. You have 24 in constitution at this point. In your
Good
base
lord.
form, your constitution
Why?
changes with your wild shape.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's an EX ability then.
Yep.
Okay, so if you have a dragon, let's say, with 30 constitution, it becomes a
Yeah,
34.
now you have, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Also,
I
level
fucking
18,
hate this.
at level 18, you get your final feat, which is 10 still.
Okay, what
So
does
now
that do?
people, whenever you do an attack of opportunity, the enemies, like the enemy that you strike, their speed becomes 0. So
Okay, that's the
if you wild shape into a dragon and you trip someone, and now they're trying to get up, and now they get a bunch of attacks of opportunity, and they stay down because their speed is 0. And if you try to run away from you, their speed is 0. And if you try to hit you, well, you have a bunch of attacks of opportunity because you have combat reflexes.
this is like an abusive relationship on steroids.
Yes, it is. And finally, you're level 20. You pick the Nature's Warrior, and you pick specifically Water's Flow, which lets you literally turn into water. Not a water elemental, just a water, meaning that you become completely immune to attacks of opportunity while you move your full speed. So you just, this turn, I ever shift into the creature, like into a rock. So as a rock, I have 140 feet speed. And now I turn into a water rock. So now I have 140 feet speed that is never going to trigger any attack of opportunity. So I can just go. Enjoy. That was our second build.
I think my brain has fried.
Yeah. I hear you. And honestly, that's not even like the most BS build on this list, if you ask me.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah.
All I can say, Ghost, is you are a special kind of person.
You can see it. I'm a special kind of artist.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you are fucked. And I mean that in the nicest of ways. But what the fuck?
That's fair. So our third build is going to be the Elven Marksman. So the Elven Marksman, as you can probably imagine, is a just straight up elf, right?
Yeah.
Ranger 6, and then pick the Prestige class Justice of Weld and Woe for 10 level, and then Peerless Archer for 4 level. I don't think it's actually, yeah, okay, it is directly in that order. So our starting ability in this case are going to be Charisma, Strength 16, Dexterity 18, Constitution 10, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 14, and Charisma 8. That's with our racial bonuses already included.
Okay.
So it's essentially 16, 16, 12, 10, 14, 8. But because we're an elf, we get a -2 in Constitution, a +2 in Dexterity. So it becomes 16, 18, 10, 10, 14, and 8. We have as a prerequisite for this build to have a craft bow making is 10 points in it, at least 8 points in hide, 4 in knowledge nature, 8 in move silently, and 8 in survival. So at level 1, again, we have track, we have our first favorite enemy, wild empathy. I'm not going to rehash all these, right? This build specifically focuses on using a bow. Like, if you want to make a stereotypical archer ranger build, this is the build for you. At
Okay,
level
if
1,
you
you
want to
take
be
the feat.
Legolas.
Yeah, this is the I want to be Legolas build.
Okay.
So at level 1, you take point blank shots. So whenever you use your bow against an enemy within 30 feet, you get a +1 to attack and damage against them.
Okay.
Level 2, you get your combat style, so you get for free rapid shot.
Okay.
Easy enough again.
Yeah.
Level 3, your feat, you pick precise shot. So now when you fire in melee, you don't get a -4 to attack. So if you're like firing at an enemy, and one of your friend is next to it, you don't get a penalty of -4. You just
That's
can.
really nice.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Level 4, you get your animal companion, and +1 in dex. Level 5, the second favorite enemy. Level 6, weapon focus. You pick weapon focus longbow. So now your longbow is super accurate, and your improved combat style, many shots. So now you can move and fire multiple arrows. Again, standard ranger stuff up to now. Level 7, as a Justice of Well and Woe, you get spells. So they have their own spell list, and
Okay.
it's a pretty fun class, not gonna lie. And they get a bunch of other stuff though. So level 8, you pick the feat Far Shot. So essentially it lets you double your, like, essentially, like, you don't get penalty for shooting too far away, and it lets you double the reach of your arrows. Plus you get Woodland Stride, which again lets you go around in the wood without too much problem, right? And then
Yeah.
you get another +1 to dexterity, so now at level 8 your dexterity is 20. Level 9, you get the feat, for 1, you get sneak attack, +1d6. So now you can shoot up to 3 arrows in a round. So, and sneak attack is not one attack per turn. 3.5, it's every single attack. If you can sneak attack, you get sneak attack. So you can sneak attack for like a bunch of damage, which is pretty good. And you get the feat Woodland Archer at level 9. So what does Woodland Archer? It lets you use 3 maneuvers. You have adjust for range. So to use this maneuver, you must shoot a projectile weapon against a foe and miss. All the subsequent shots you take against that foe this round, you get a +4 bonus to attack.
Okay.
So if you miss, you get a +4 attack for all your subsequent range attack against this enemy. You have Pierce the Foliage, so you must hit a foe with a range attack despite the missed chance, killed by concealments. So essentially, you're like shooting someone that has concealment. If you succeed, your shot you take against that foe in the next round, you don't have a missed chance against them.
Okay,
You
so it is very much in that sense if you hit, you're going to continue to hit.
yes, and then
Okay.
the third maneuver that you can use is moving sniper. So you must succeed on a sniping attack. So essentially, you must be hiding and do a sneak shoot. Oh, that now usually, and you essentially you have to be able to successfully continue hiding after shooting. If no one sees you, you can keep making sniping attack in the following round instead, and taking a single move after your attack and before you hide. So essentially, you get a free move on top of hiding, which usually would be requiring your move action, and being able to do your attack. Now the thing is, since it's a single attack, since it's a standard action, you can use your many shot with this. You can sniper, many shot, then move, then hide every single round with this feat.
That's cool.
It is pretty cool. Level 10, you get Lucky Shot. So once per day, you can get as a free action. It doesn't cost you any action. You can say, I have a +10 this attack roll with my longbow. You have to declare it before you roll the attack, but you get a free +10. So if you're not sure or whatever, you know this attack is going to hit. On top of that, you have track the step. So now you literally cannot be tracked ever. At level
So you just-
11,
Okay.
yeah, essentially you can just run around and not leave any tracks. That's a great ability. Level 11, you get poison use. So it lets you use poison without never having any chances to poison yourself. So you can put all your arrows into poison and just be very, very bad.
Kill all the things.
Yeah. At level 12, you get quick draw. So essentially you can draw your bow faster in case of combat. And you also have steady hand. So you become able to fire your personal longbow in melee combat without provoking attacks of opportunity. So you can be like literally in the face of someone with your bow, and you don't provoke attacks of opportunity with your bow now. Enjoy.
I
Mhm.
I don't like that.
Level 13, your sneak attack becomes 2d6. Level 14, you get weapon specialization on the longbow, because now you can pick weapon specialization because of Justice of Will and Woe. Now your bow deals even more damage. Level 15, you get Hide in Plain Sight, which is the I'm here, I'm not here,
Yeah.
and Improved Precise Shot. At level 16, you are completely immune to poison, and you get Death Attack, like an assassin. So what that lets you do, it lets you study a target for 3 rounds. And after that 3 rounds, you make an attack. It's going to be a sneak attack. And if you hit, they have to make a fortitude saving throw. And if they fail, they instantly die, regardless of the amount of the hit points they have. They just insta die. Gone.
That's
And that's an
Holy
at-will
shit.
ability, by the way. Like, you don't have uses per day. You can just keep doing it. But the thing is, it has conditions. Like, you must not be considered an enemy. Like, essentially, the enemy cannot see you and say, I recognize this person as an enemy. So you can be hiding in the middle of a fight.
yeah.
Like, as
So
long as they're not
it's
aware where you are, you can get a death attack.
that is like that's nuts for when you come up with an encounter where the big boss is like out in the open,
Mhm.
but the entire group haven't seen you yet, and you can just be like, all right, well, this guy dies first.
Yep.
That's really taking like a big threat off the board.
Yep. Level 17, we take finally our levels into Peerless Archer. So we get Expert Bowyer, so essentially like we're better at crafting those and all that. We get more sneak attack, but that can only be on range. So in this case, our sneak attack with our bow becomes 3d6. Level 18, we get Coordinated Shot. So we can essentially shoot through our allies, like regardless of how their positioning is. We can never hit our friends in any form while shooting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Plus, we got sharpshooting. So what does that do? Is yeah. So like all enemies, they consider their cover 1 level less than they were. So if they have total cover, they now have 3/4 cover. But you have improved precise shot, so now you can shoot them, and you no longer have any penalty for your cover. So people literally cannot have cover against you. You can
So-
always shoot them.
Basically, you can never have a natural deficit to your attack rolls.
Exactly.
You-
Exactly.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Especially with the ability of like, oh, your dude is behind cover in like a tent, and then the tent is like just barely open. You
Yeah.
can barely see them. Oh, I still shoot them in the heart.
Yep.
That's That's insane.
Yeah. And at level 19, you get Power Shot, which works exactly like Power Attack, but for bows.
Bum.
So now you can, like I know that I'm hitting, while I'm taking -10 to my attack, and now I'm dealing plus 10 damage.
I take a -10 to my attack using power shot, but I gain a plus 10 to attack because I want it.
Yeah, because of my lucky shot. And now you just... And because you're doing that with many shot, you can just... Because it's one shot, but it's 4 arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then finally your sneak attack reaches plus 46. So
That's scary.
it is a very, very scary build. So that's the peerless archer. Like this is the elven marksman build. So we only have 2 more builds to go through. Our 4th build is the beast horde. So with this build, I wanted to emphasize the animal companion part of the ranger. So I went for an arc, a pure arc, not an half arc, a pure arc. And I went for Ranger 5, then 5 levels of Beastmaster, and 10 level of Beast Earth Adept. So it has as skills prerequisites of having Handle Animal 8, Survival 4, Knowledge Arcana 4, and Knowledge Engineering 4. Your starting ability scores are going to be 22 in Strength, because ours get plus 4, and you pick an 18 at first, so 22. A Dexterity of 10, Constitution of 16, Intelligence of 6, Wisdom of 10, and Charisma of 6. So you're not going to be very, very nice looking. This build also requires you to have 2 flaws. So I picked Murky Eyes and Shaky, so you get a penalty on range attacks. So this build is not actually going to be that much doing range attack, even though it's a ranger. Plus Murky Eyes, so you roll twice and take the worst when you roll against concealment. Honestly, that's not that much of a big deal because there's so many ways to ignore concealment. I'll just not have concealment, but that's not the point. So you're using a whip, a buckler, a chain shirt, a great axe. Like again, you do your thing. At level 1, you pick your your feats are going to be exotic weapon proficiency whip, power attack, and improved shield bash. So essentially, you have your shield and you have spikes on your shield because you can have a spike shield, and you can use the whip. So you can use whip to attack at a distance, even though you're a melee character. And if someone gets close while you have the whip, you can dash them over the face with the shield and still keep your AC fairly high. And if you need real damage, you can pull those 2 back, pick the great axe, and now you have a plus 6 in strength. So that's a lot of attack and damage from the get-go. Plus again, all the things like track, favorite enemy, wild empathy. Level 2, you pick 2 weapons fighting. So now you can 2 weapon fighting with your at a distance with your whip, and then in melee against someone else with the shield.
Yep.
Again, right. That's pretty cool, but honestly, that's not the means of this build. Level 3, prerequisite skill focus, handle animal, and endurance that you get for Frizzle Ranger. Level 4, animal companion, plus 1 in strength, plus your first spells, though you can't really use your spell because your wisdom is too low, but that's pick an amulet of wisdom plus 2, and then now conversion you can cast first level spells. Whee!
Hey, you know what? Sometimes those first level spells will change the
Yeah.
world.
It really can, yes.
It plays right then.
At level 5, you pick you have your second favorite enemy, and then you pick your first level in Beastmaster, level 6. So you have Animal Affinity as a feat, which is a prerequisite, unfortunately. But it's also, as a Beastmaster, you're considered your current... Essentially, you get a plus 4 to your Druid level for your Animal Companion. Now remember, a Ranger is considered half Druid level, so now you're all the way back to full level. for your animal companion, which means at this point your animal companion can be something much, much worse. Like you can get a dire.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. And you can get now a full druid animal companion. Like you're no longer restricted to the ranger animal companions. Now you can get a dire lion, for example, as an animal companion. So dire lion can actually pounce. So when does pounce works? It lets them charge and do their full attack.
Okay.
And
So,
when they
like,
do a full attack, if they hit with at least 2 attacks, they get a free grab, so a free grapple. And if they manage to grapple, they get 2 other attacks with their rake. So they can attack
That's
up to
awesome.
5 times when they charge. Yeah. So now you have a lion. That's at level 6, by the way. Level 7, as a Beastmaster, you get 4 free alertness, which is great, I guess. Beastmaster 8, level 8, you get Speak with Animals once per day as a spell-like ability, another +1 in strength. So now your strength is 24. So you're dealing a lot of damage. Even though you don't have power attack, like you're still relevant. I mean, you have a freaking dire lion.
Yeah.
Level 9. Level 9, you take Natural Bound, Defeat. Now, usually that would increase your animal companion's level by +3, but your animal companion's already max. So why did I pick this? Because as a Beastmaster of level 4, so at level 9, you get a second animal companion, but it's considered your full druid level, -3. So +3 with the natural bound.
Oh.
And now you have 2 fully leveled dire lion
So,
running around and bowling people for you.
okay. So the animal companion that you get from the second Beastmaster,
Yeah.
quote unquote second Beastmaster,
Yeah.
is that reduced with its level is reduced by 3, but then
Yeah.
because of natural bond, it's
Yeah.
increased by 3. So it just becomes that's awesome.
Yes. So now you're 3 characters for the low cost of 1. So at level 10 you get low light vision because Beastmaster. Then at level 11 we're taking finally our first level in Beast Hurt Adept. So that's where this build gets bonkers. Like this build doesn't need to be super high level. Like that's where really you start having fun. So Beast Hurt Adept, they get Monster Empathy, which is exactly like Wild Empathy, except reverse. They can just Wild Empathy monster like magical beasts and aberrations. But they can also do that with animals, but they get a -4. But it's a ranger. It has Wild Empathy, so it doesn't care. It can just be friends with all the creatures. Now here's the thing. That's not the only thing that it gets. It gets a Monstrous Companion.
Okay.
So let me read you the type of beast Adept. So when you pick your first level of Beast Adept, you have a choice. As a Monstrous Companion, you can pick an Ankeg, a Blink Dog, a Giant Eagle, a Giant Owl, and a Hippogriff, a Crenshaw, a Otyug, an Owlbear, a Pegasus, or a Warg. And as you level up, the creature can get essentially like once you get higher level, you can pick a Digester, Giralon, Manticore, Winterwolf, a Chimera, Wyvern, Tool, Destrakan, Dragon, Fakir, Greenlander, and Earthbat.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's your Monstrous Companion that you get at level 11. Level 12, you get monster lore, so you get to know monster creature faster and all that. And you pick also defeat leadership. So now you have a cohort of your choice, and you have a bunch of followers around, all there to back you up in combat. So you can raise an army on top of having all your pets. At level 12, you have officially broken the game. Level 13, you can get Alternative Monsters Companion. Now, honestly, I would keep the owlbear because owlbears are cool. But
Oh,
that's
that's
just
awesome.
yeah, owlbears are awesome. Level 14, Monstrous Flank. If you flank with your with your Monstrous Beast, instead of getting a +4, a +2, you get a +4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So you could just surround something and then JoJo's meme it.
yeah. Level 15, you get Defeat Improved Toughness, so plus 15 hit points and +1 each level. And you get an extra Monstrous Companion. So now you have 2 of these, plus your 20 mil companion, plus your cohort, plus your 100 and something followers.
Yeah, okay.
Level 16, you get a +1 in strength. Level 17, you get Monstrous Tactics. So, Monstrous Tactics. When one of your Monstrous companions strikes an opponent with a melee attack, the target provokes an immediate attack opportunity from you. And your companions do not grant cover against your enemies when you use range attacks or spells. So now, like, you can have like your owlbear maul someone, and if you maul someone, well, you get to attack it for free with your whip at a distance.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And then if you if you had like combat reflexes,
Yeah, you could.
you could do that multiple times.
Yep, you could.
Oh,
Then at level 18, we pick Improve Initiative because our dex is admittedly low, so we want to get faster. Level 19, we get a third Monstrous Companion. Now we have 3 Monster Companion, 2 Animal Companions, a cohort, and a bunch of Orc followers going around with you. Enjoy.
you could straight up just become the roving orc band that everyone hates.
Yes. Yes. Now, do you want to get something super funny about this? At level 20, you get Monstrous Team Up. So all those bonuses that you get, like your Monstrous Flank and your Monstrous Tactics, all your party gets that bonus.
I mean, it is level
I
20, so
Well, I mean, yes, but it it means that like now your whole party can provide bonuses, get bonuses from your pets. Enjoy. You're literally an army by yourself.
Yeah.
So again, so far we've seen the classic switch hitter, right? Like the first build. We've seen the build go into a completely wild direction with the wild shaper, like see a showcase of a variant build for the ranger. Then we've seen a range build, and we've seen a build that emphasizes on the animal companion. So what does it leaves us? To weapon fighting, right? Well,
that is.
that's the final build. The Lady of the Hunt, the Werewolf Whirlwind. So this build is a it's a werewolf. So you have 2 racial hit die, and it's a literary werewolf. So literary werewolves are essentially chaotic good werewolves instead of chaotic evil. Now, I picked it for the purpose of like it exists. I have a reason to be chaotic good enough. Personally, I don't care about you're forced to be chaotic evil. I don't care about that about the thing like talk with your DM. But like if a DM is going to complain, well, all werewolves are chaotic evil. Well, I'm a literary werewolf. I'm chaotic good. F you. Okay, like if we're absolutely must go for rule as written, you have a chaotic good werewolf. Enjoy. Be that as it
Okay.
may. Like this is important for those rule as written lawyers kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
You, there's a chaotic good version of the werewolf. So otherwise, you have 2 racial hit die from the werewolf. Otherwise, we're going Ranger 4, Dervish 10, and Tempest 4. And we are going to buy back 2 level adjustments. So level 6 and then level 9. So it's going to cost us a little bit experience point, but it's fine. Honestly, we don't really use our XP much compared to like wizards who
Yeah.
craft a bunch of items. So that's fine. our starting stats are Strength 16, Dex 16, Constitution 14, Intelligence 13, Wisdom 11, and Charisma 8. And we need at least 3 points in Perform Dance and Tumble. And Bill's build also uses flaws. It uses weak will, so our will save is painfully low. So that's honestly this build, like that this big weakness for this build, it's the fact that it has a low will save. Now you can change it to another flaw. I'm just saying, I wanted to pick a flaw, weak will, give it somewhat of a flaw because I know people are going to be angry about this build. But don't worry too much about it. And vulnerable, which lowers your armor class by 1. So you start as a werewolf, as a natural born werewolf. This means that you now have a damage reduction of 10 silver. Enjoy.
Yep.
So anything that is not made of silver, you take 10 less damage from it.
Yeah. That's
Sound right?
real nice.
Yep.
Especially early on.
Yeah. So level 1, you have Iron Will. So now suddenly your weak will, but instead of being -3, it's -1. So you're making up a little bit for it. Because as a werewolf, you get Iron Will for free. You also get, again, Track as a werewolf, and you get Weapon Focus Bite. So you're 3 feet because you're still a human. You're a human werewolf. So you get Dodge, Mobility, and Combat Expertise. The Combat Expertise lets you trade off your base attack bonus for AC, but all the way up to 5.
Okay.
Instead of power attack, instead of increasing your damage, you're increasing your AC. It's a prerequisite. Don't worry about it. Just like dodge and mobility are prerequisites. Like, they're good for your defenses and your mobility, but honestly, that's not the main point of this build. Level 2, again, you have your 2 hit die of werewolf, so that's done. Level 3. So this build really starts at level 3, your first level of ranger. At level 3, you pick again. You already have tracks, so you don't care. Wild Empathy, first favorite enemy, and then you pick Weapon Focus, Battle Axe. Because this build uses Battle Axe, because I thought it was cool. Instead of going for the 2 scimitars thing, like this build uses 2 Battle Axe. Okay. Level 4, you get your combat style, and you get your +1 to Dex, and you get 2 weapon fighting for free. So now you can use both your battle axe, pretty well melee in fact, and while you're in your hybrid form, you still have a strength of like 18. So you're hitting pretty hard and pretty well. Level 5, you get your endurance. Level 6, you pick defeat, oversized 2 weapon fighting. So now your second battle axe count as a light weapon. So instead of having -4 to attack, you have -2, -2. So you're hitting all the time now instead of once in a while. Plus you get your animal companion. So up to level 6, it's pretty standard stuff. Level 7, you pick your dervish class. So you get slashing blade, which means that you now consider you consider essentially your scimitars. You can add your dexterity if you have weapon finesse to damage with them. You're not using scimitars, you don't care. But what you are using is you get movement mastery, so you get more speed. And me actually go dervish real quick. So you also get a bonus to AC, but you don't really care about that. When you make a jump, perform dance, or tumble check, you can take 10. You can always take 10, even if you're threatened or things. Like, you can always take 10 on these. So that's pretty good. And then once per day, you get Dervish Dance. So what does Dervish Dance do is it lets you make your full attack action and still move up to your feet, to your speed. So you can move and make all your attacks with 2 weapon fighting. You know the problem that we had with the ranger at the beginning?
Like you were describing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now you can make your full movement and still do all your attacks. Your 3 attacks at this point. And if you're in your werewolf form, your 4 attacks, because you can also bite. So you can bam bam, down to weapon fighting bite
Okay.
at level 7. So you have 4 attacks. The only thing is, you're required to take at least 5 feet of movement between each attack. So you have to move.
Yeah, but those
So
are
it could
also
easily
5
just be
feet.
something like.
Mhm.
Those are
Yeah.
also 5 feet adjustments, just for the note. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it could also just be like you could just move around the target.
Oh yeah.
Ye-
Yeah, you just angle around a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Level 8, you get fast movement, so you get plus 5 feet of movement. Level 9, you get spring attack, so you can just, without even being in a division, just move, do one attack, and continue moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you get Dervish Dance twice per day at level 9, and you get improved to weapon fighting. So now you have a bunch of attacks.
To just murder people with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level,
Good
level,
stuff.
yeah, level 10, you get Dance of Death. So you gain the benefit of the cleave feat when performing a Dervish Dance, even if you don't meet the prerequisite for the feat. And you don't have to make a 5-foot movement between the attack that caused your cleave. So how cleaves work in 3.5 is if you down an enemy, like if you reduce an enemy to 0 with with an attack, you get a free attack against another enemy that is adjacent to you. You do it
Okay.
once. You can only do it once per turn. Now there's like improved cleave, right? Greater cleave, which lets you do it more often, but you don't. You only use cleave, so you can do it once more. But you still get potentially a free +1 attack already, which is kind of wild. Level 11, your fast movement is now +10, and you have their vigilance 3 times per day. Level 12, you get 2 weapon rend. So 2 weapon rend, the way it works, if you hit your enemy with both your weapon at least once, you deal 4 free and additional points damage equal to your strength times 1/2, so 1 plus 1/2 your strength bonus,
Yeah.
plus your secondary weapon in terms of damage. So you get a free, like, essentially, like, if you hit another time with your, because essentially you're just rending the enemy apart, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So free damage. And you get improved reaction, which is more initiative, which is always fun. Level 4, level 13, you get elaborate parry. So when you're fighting defensively or you're using all-out defense in melee combat, you get a +4 to your AC, an extra +4. So if you fight defensively, suddenly like your AC is
With the
probably
nervous,
absolute.
we see you there. We're actually just wrapping up what we were doing, which was walking through some of the builds.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Are we still doing Minecraft tonight, or
No, it's too late.
still too late?
Yeah, it's too late.
Oh, lovely.
Sorry. So go carry on, Ghost.
Yeah, so 4 per day, Dervish Dance at level 13. Level 14, Fast Movement is +15 feet, so you have a bunch of movements now. Level 15, you get Tireless Dance. So Dervish Dance essentially tires you after you use it. Now it's like, it's no longer tiring you, so you can just keep doing it. And you have it 5 times per day, and now you have greater tools and fighting. So now you're attacking a bunch of times per turn, and you're moving all around the place, and you're being super mobile.
Okay.
And then level 16, you get your 1,000 cuts ability. Once per day when you do a full attack action. So when you don't need to be using their vigilance or not. Like you don't need to, but you can. You can be using it. You can double your number of attack this turn. Just double it.
So you just. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So consider this: you have greater to weapon fighting, and you have a high BAB. So now you're attacking 4 times, +3, plus your bite, and plus
Any potentials.
plus your rend,
Yeah.
and now you're doubling it. So you're attacking 18 times this turn.
I take it you guys are setting up for the 3.5 stuff.
Well, the actual sites covered is what we're doing right now. We're actually talking about the site
Yeah.
stuff. Like I said.
After that, so starting level 17, essentially what we do is we add combat reflex to our roster of thing, because why not? and we get Tempest Defense, which increase our AC whenever we're using two weapons, and we get ambidextry, which essentially means that now our two-weapon fighting is essentially our penalty of -2, -2 is completely nullified. So now we're completely attacking fine with all our weapons all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, we can just shapeshift into a werewolf form and just maul everything with 18 attacks per turn if we so choose. Now here's the dirty trick with this build. The dirty trick is you pick a Belt of Battle, which lets you once per day take a second full attack action. But since it's the same turn, the 1,000 cut still is on because it's this turn. You can double your number of attack.
Jeez.
So now you're attacking 36 times.
What in the actual? You are quite literally Warwick from League of Legends.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely are.
Oh,
And so those are essentially my 5 builds that I've presented for the website for the Ranger. So again, like the idea was to showcase every single part of the Ranger and show like, look what we can do with this. Like one is more as a switch hitter; he can do a little bit of everything. The other build is more of a shapeshifter in this case, and uses more like magic, quote unquote. Like it's not directly using spells, but it's the idea of like the magic key part of the Ranger.
Yeah.
Then we
Yeah.
have like the super archer, then the animal companions, and then finally the two-weapon fighters, which sure doesn't do like tons of damage, but it does a ton of attacks. So you're still doing a ton of damage anyway.
yeah.
So that's that. Those are the 5 ranger builds that
This
that I
shit
come up
baffles me.
that much. That much. And again, that's a ranger. That's the class that people are pissing on because they're saying, "Oh, this class is not good. It's not versatile enough."
It's,
See what I
There's-
just did with this class.
Oh yeah.
Like, and again, like, like notice how none of them use my Sword of the Arcane Ardor.
yeah.
Victory.
How is Ranger T5? What?
Yeah, the quote
No.
unquote T5. I don't like the tier system for 3.5. But
I
like
don't.
again, it's T5, quote unquote. Like imagine if that's T5, imagine what like the kind of BS I can do with things that are considered T1.
A wizard, a cleric, or a druid? Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain hurts.
Yeah, and that's a fairly simple class. Like the ranger is not particularly complex as a class. It's fairly like it's pretty on the tin what it does. I use a bow, I use 2 weapons, I go out in the wild, I go hide and I cast a few spells, plus I have a pet.
I turn into Eldritch Incarnate. Looks at Wild Shaper.
Yeah, the Wild Shaper Druid is the Wild Shaper Ranger is pretty funny. It's also
I.
wild.
Why? Ghost.
Because fun. So to give a context like of how all these builds started coming up, right? Is because I encountered someone who was saying monk are the worst class in 3.5. To which I was like, okay, why? And the argument was, well, because they spread too thin, they don't do anything well. So by default, they're a tier 6 class. To which I was like, all right, let me show you what I can do with a tier 6 class. And then after that, I was like, well, I should also touch on the other tiers, quote unquote tier 6 class, like the samurai. And then I was like, well, what about a tier 5 class, like the barbarian and the ranger and the fighter? Well,
Yeah.
to be fair,
Okay.
the barbarian is tier 4. But like the fighter and the ranger are tier 5, the rogue is tier 5. I'm like, this is what I can do with this.
Bet.
And I'm barely even trying.
Yeah. This is the Gojo going "I'd win" meme.
Yeah, I'd win. I
Yeah,
will.
I'd win.
I'd actually.
Ghost.
Also, for everybody that is listening to this, now or in the future, I with every single of these guides, of these builds, I make a story, and the story of the ranger is tied with the rest of like the story like later on. Because early on there were some stories that were kind of tied, but it really started tying up with the ranger and then the rogue. Then from there it started like evolving into other things. But so if you have a chance to stop and go read the story, because the stories are great, and Rainy actually helped showing helping with some of the stories, like putting
Yep.
them in better words, because English is not my primary language, right? But
Yep.
essentially that's that. So that's my contribution for tonight.
Appreciate it, man.
That was the
It was a
ranger.
great contribution, and you taught me how much better Rangers could be in other editions.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, straight up, like, I'm not even joking when I say this, Ghost. The Ranger in 5th edition, just implementing the way they, just using the way 3.5 uses Natural Explorer, or like the like dealing with things in their environments.
Yep.
That already alone would make 5th edition so much better. If you was just like, okay, well, it's not you do better in this environment, it's you do better against things that live in this environment. That would make it so much better alone.
see,
And it wouldn't break the game either.
no. And see, here's the thing again with the ranger. There are many ways to even like if you want to toy with the idea of like, oh, I'm a super expert against Monster Hunter, right? Like there are things that you can pick like knowledge devotion, which lets you whenever you roll a knowledge against a creature, you can get up to a +4 in attack and damage against that creature for the rest of the encounter whenever you succeed in your knowledge check. And ranger, let me remind you, get by default as a class skill Dungeoneering, which is all magical beast, all aberration. They also get knowledge nature, which is animals, plants, and vermin. Yeah. And then they have geography, which doesn't let them give anything, but knowledge devotion gives them another knowledge skill for free, so they can pick arcane for dragons, and or planes for outsiders, or religion for undeads.
Yeah,
And
wow.
Laucivol for humanoid and monstrous humanoid, right? Like they can expand their things like super fast. And for like the mystical ranger, again, you pick that's a feat that you can pick at level 3. And since you get all your combat feat for free with combat auto, you don't care. So you can actually put those feat where you want them. Then at level 6 you pick like you make a ranger of Mystra, you pick Sword of the Arcane Order, and now you're a ranger that can cast wizard spells.
You're a wizard that goes up against every creature imaginable, specializing in every creature imaginable, while casting and sorcerer spells, while being a off-tank, a damage dealer from range, a skirmisher, and a healer all in one. Just because you are a versatile motherfucker who doesn't care.
Yeah, and again,
You are just a badass.
you do that. You go for, let's say, I'm going to throw out there, for example, like you pick one level of Horizon Walker to pick the underground terrain to get the dark vision, right? And you be a human. So level 1 you get 2 feet, so you pick power attack with a great sword. With the build I've shown, right? With all the special spells, like the Sword of the Arcane Order and Knowledge Devotion. And by level 6 you can essentially play Geralt.
From The Witcher.
Yeah. Like without multipassing, without one level of Horizon Walker to get your dark vision.
Yeah, no.
That's it. That's literally all you need. After that, like you can go Ranger 19 and
I would be
you could
I would be
even not
very
do Dark Vision. You can even not multipass and just cast the spell Dark Vision because you're a ranger. With fucking spell, you can cast Dark Vision and get Dark Vision anyway. So you can literally play Geralt essentially.
I would be very interested in seeing a 3.5 campaign that is based in a low magic style world like The Witcher is. Because Again, because 3.5 has a lot more versatility with like builds and classes and like prestige and everything.
Yep.
That you don't need full casters. Like,
I mean, no, you
they're
don't.
still always great to have, but if the world is just like something like Witcher, where magic is very costly to the person casting it, a full caster is probably not going to fit that paradigm overly well. Like, they
No.
can, but
Mm.
it would be a lot more difficult to implement. But then you've got things like witches, like, for example, the ranger or the rogue or the fighter in general.
There
And
is
then
a
giving
Witcher
them...
RPG.
Oh, yeah. But we're talking about D&D.
So
But yeah,
that was
like
a ranger. Which
Yeah.
class do you want to do the next time that we'll all gather? Next time that I gather you all into my elevator for my TED
Okay.
talk.
I will genuinely say that given that Ranger is just a better 5th edition, like a 3.5 is just a better 5th edition fighter and Ranger put together, I want to see the fighter for 3.5.
Okay, so I'll prepare a better presentation for the fighter for the next time.
Yeah.
Because
go
this
for
one was
it.
pretty much like, again, because it's my thing, I know already what to talk about, but I'm going to be able
Yeah.
to narrow it down a little bit further for the next time.
Yeah, no,
Alrighty.
that
Alright.
was amazing. I hate your
Yeah.
builds,
You,
but that was amazing.
which you can all go see and see on the website, Fellow Dragons Game, so fellowdragongames.com.
There you go.
The
All
plug.
right. With that note, let's wrap up. And anyone who's watching, anyone who watched this, appreciate you. Have a great day.